Hey everybody, welcome back to Pack Talk Podcast number 67. And today we're talking about a different topic. But I was given an order by Colonel Prindle. You know who that is?
Oh, yeah.
We had him on the podcast, and after that podcast, he told me that I have to tell my story. And so I'm taking his orders.
He wasn't asking.
He wasn't asking. He was telling.
Giving you an order.
He gave me an order.
Yep.
And when the colonel tells you to do something, you got to do it.
Absolutely.
So I'm here today to talk about my story, my origin story, which we've interviewed a lot of people, veterans, other dog trainers, fitness individuals, personal trainers, and we've gotten their stories. And so Colonel Prindle told me it's time to tell mine, so that's what we're here to do.
Buckle up.
But I will say it is weird to talk about yourself.
Yeah.
And Ben's here to kind of help
guide.
make sure that I
tell accurate information.
Say what needs to be said.
You know, that's the good thing about having a brother. I can hold you accountable.
And with that being said, Ben is my brother, and I am Ben's brother.
That's how
We're
that
in
works.
business. We work in the same business together at Canine Revolution Dog Training and here at Pack Talk Podcast. And a lot of people say, don't go into business with your family and friends. And for us, fortunately, it's worked out up to this point.
Yeah, we'll see how the next year goes.
But, Ben is my brother. If you know Canine Revolution Dog Training, Kevin, one of our trainers, is my cousin. And then if you know Canine Revolution Dog Training, Chris is basically a brother to us. We all grew up together. Me, Ben, Chris, Kevin. Obviously we have a very large team, which I'll go into the details on the different people in that team later. But, they say don't go into business with your family and friends. We're in business together, and it's worked out for us up to this point. Maybe because we're able to communicate clearly. Maybe because we respect each other. We do have talks.
Yeah, we got talks, all right.
If we need to, we have talks.
Yeah. Yeah, we have talks, all right.
I've had to talk with Ben a couple times about being on time.
Hey, not even going to deny that. It is what it is.
I've had to talk with Chris and Kevin at times about other related things, but
Cleanliness for Chris.
Cleanliness.
Chris gets a little smelly.
He
doesn't like to take showers. He's old school, real old school.
But, when we have those conversations, we try to be respectful, and I think we do a good job of understanding each other's perspective. And so that's why I think it works out for us up to this point.
We'll see.
We'll see what happens in the future.
Mm-hmm.
We're also all motivated to do what we need to do.
Yeah.
Right? So we're motivated to do our different tasks and different roles, all supporting the big picture and the big mission. You know what I'm saying? So I think that is what helps us.
Yeah.
But a couple of things I'll be talking about today is since I've gotten into dog training, I've become super interested in psychology and how events through our lives impact us as we mature, right? So things that happen when you're a child or things that happen when you're younger, they do impact you psychologically later as you mature. So I'm going to try and connect some dots of stuff that has happened to me, but I also try to get some of that story from the other people that we talk to by getting some of their backgrounds.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to go into detail on a bunch of stuff, but just a couple of things that popped to my head. But I'll jump right into it. Growing up, me and Ben, originally from Goose Creek, South Carolina.
Yeehaw.
Which is close to Somerville. And now they call it historical Goose Creek, South Carolina.
That's the full title?
And you know why it's historical, which we learned about in another podcast we recently did. Episode 65. Blackbeard. Blackbeard's actually from Goose Creek. So it is historical. And we are historic Goose Creek.
We're historic people apparently.
From Goose Creek. Historic Goose Creek. So we grew up in Goose Creek. And
as rednecks. Shout out to all the rednecks.
We lived
out
in
there.
a neighborhood. We were not rednecks.
No, but Goose Creek, notorious for
Goose
the
Creek
country
does
boys.
have some rednecks in it. But grew up in Goose Creek, went to a private school growing up for a portion of the time, then homeschooled, then went back to private school.
I think I was just homeschooled. I don't think I went to the early elementary.
You didn't go to early?
I don't think so.
Really? I went to elementary school. for a portion of that, then was homeschooled. Then I went back to private school at like 10th grade. So you must have been
7th grade for me.
7th grade.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
That's when I started.
Holy cow. You're that much younger than me.
Yeah.
One thing that did happen to me at early private school elementary was a scenario, and this is locked in my brain for some reason, so it goes back to the psychology of events through our lives that impact us. But I was bullied on the playground by a bunch of the kids in my class.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to play like some kind of game with a ball where you throw the ball into the funnel and then it spits it out one of 3 ways, if you remember that kind of game. But I don't know, like a playground.
Yeah.
But anyway, all the other boys that were playing with me, they all started like shoving me and verbally saying things to me, you know, that were upsetting, or I don't remember everything that happened. I just remember the scenario.
Yeah.
So anyway, then I would, after that scenario happened at recess, which is where that happened, I would just go hang out at this tree.
Yeah.
With another guy.
That's the tree. The hangout tree.
The hangout
you got
tree.
that spot as kids. The hangout tree.
So I don't know how all that affected me as a young person, but I do know that I think that helped me to develop in not really caring about what people say about me as I went on in life. And that's something that people have mentioned to me, like, you just don't care what people say about you. Like, I literally don't care.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just doing my thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that is something that impacted me in that situation, but I do think that bullying is happening today with a lot of kids. And I
probably
think
to a higher level.
Yeah, to a higher level.
Yeah.
And, you know, that wasn't a private school, but I'm sure at public school it's probably worse.
Well, I'm just thinking about all the online bullying.
Well, there's online bullying
at the same
these days
time
too,
of the school.
Yeah,
bullying,
so it's all.
Yeah.
You know, but it definitely affects the psyche of a person, an individual.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So teaching young people how to have confidence or to try and not care about what people are saying about you, or how to handle a bullying situation. You know what I'm saying? Developing that confidence, building that confidence to be able to hold up against those things. And usually people that are bullying are typically probably going to be some type of insecure person. Yeah. They have some form of insecurity, or maybe they're bullied at their house by their parents or something. Who knows? Right? But I think that's definitely something that's going on in today's world. And like you already said, we have cyberbullying, and then we have in-person bullying. So how to navigate those, you know, how to deal with those if those things happen to you, you know. But other things I was doing as a kid, I was on the swim team, which there are some pictures of me in a Speedo.
Oh, yeah. I've seen it in real life.
You have seen the Speedo in real life.
Not a sight you want to see.
You know, being on the swim team, like you go to swim practice and you swim laps and all that, but you go to a swim meet. You remember those?
Oh, yeah.
Where basically you're just sitting at the pool and they're like, oh, it's your turn. You go swim a lap and then you're like, okay.
That's it for the whole day. Yeah, and then you just sit there for another 3 hours. It's awesome.
It's crazy.
It's awesome. Yeah, it's awesome. It's an awesome way to waste your time.
You're just basically sitting there playing games with your friends.
Yeah, it's so weird too,
It's
because you're
very
in like
weird.
these weird little group areas.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of schools there. You're all it's parents, schools.
It's a packed pool
You're
day.
crowded in one little area
Yeah.
around this big, you know, hopefully big pool.
Yeah.
You know, hopefully it's got enough space. If it don't, you're outside the gate.
Yeah. Oh,
you know, sitting on the front lawn.
But it is a very weird sport to be in because of that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
It
saying?
is a little strange. But I mean, I guess you got to do what you got to do. I think it's the same way for like cross country running or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
You all got to gather.
Yeah. But yeah, did the swim team. Ben did the swim team.
Yeah, I did something for a little bit.
For a while, and then I did it again when I was in high school.
Yeah.
Same coach, Dave Jones.
Oh yeah,
Dave
epic
Jones.
legendary,
dude. The thing about Dave Jones is
David Jones,
which he's still in the area.
Yeah. Oh, he's around.
He's a former Green Beret, but his handshake.
Oh, dude,
His
crush
handshake.
you.
He purposely tries to just dominate you and crush
He
your
does.
hand.
He
It's a
does, bro.
purposeful-
He does. It's definitely an alpha move. He definitely does it.
This dude grabs your hand to shake your hand. He's like, "Hey, how's it going?" But your hand is getting crushed.
Yeah.
And he wants to see you
In
show
pain.
pain.
Yeah.
That's what he wants.
Thankfully, he doesn't do the grab and the pull.
Oh, yeah.
Where he pulls you in.
Yeah.
You know, like that's what Trump does. Grab you, pull you in.
No, Dave Jones does the grab and just crushes.
Yeah, that's all he needs. That's all he needs.
So for a while there, when I was younger, I was obsessed with building up my forearms to try and do that to people, but
Really?
I just never got to his status.
Yeah, how do you get your hands to that level, you know?
You just got forearms, dude.
Forearm
strength. The dude was jacked. This dude was an Iron Man guy.
Yeah, he's hardcore.
He was jacked.
Yeah.
But anyway, did the swim team, also did soccer, also did the football team.
Oh, yeah.
Now, the thing with soccer before I go into football was
Chad didn't know the rules.
I don't know any soccer rules, and I was just running around and just smoking people.
It was essentially football
like it was
for Chad.
football. I
like
just kept
American
getting red
football.
flags
Yeah.
or yellow flags.
Cards, red cards.
Yeah, cards.
Yeah. still
Then the
doesn't
coach
know the
would
rules.
never play me. They just
Yeah.
have me on the bench the whole time.
When they needed someone to get pushed over, you know, they bring you in. You're the hitter. You know, you're the
So
the
then
big truck out
the
there.
football coach recruited me. He said I should play football. This was my senior year. Is when I discovered that I actually liked football.
Yeah.
And so I went and played football. And at first they're like, "Oh, you're like a military type dude," because I was the kid walking around high school with the high and tight.
Oh yeah, I remember. I want to be a Navy SEAL when I grow up. That was Chad's personality for most of high school.
So I go to the football team, and they're like, "You're going to be a receiver because you can run," because I would run all the time.
Yeah.
I was a skinny kid, and so went out to do receiver training. Couldn't catch a football.
Yeah.
And I was slow, super slow, as far as like sprinting.
All the
goes.
other fast guys out there, yeah.
And so then they were trying to figure out what to do with me. So then they put me on defensive line, and that was where I shined.
That's where you went.
Just
meant
a head
to be.
hitter right there.
Oh
baby.
yeah, all the big boys on the line.
And
You got to
skinny
be
me.
big psycho maniacs down there in the trenches.
Me and Jacoby Singleton.
Oh yeah,
And
a whole bunch
Josh
of them.
King.
Yep,
A bunch of guys.
a whole bunch of them.
So anyway, did the football team.
And maybe before you continue, but there is a picture out there
What?
where Chad they ended up going and winning state championship
Yeah.
that year. There's a good year for him to join, but they had the team. They went to the state championship and won.
Yeah.
And before the game, everyone on the team shaved their hair into mohawks.
Yeah.
And Chad did a double mohawk.
Yeah, I did a double.
Maybe we can
mohawk.
find a picture out there and put it on the Instagram
We'll have to.
whenever this episode comes up. But yeah, you got to see that picture.
I did
the
a double
mohawk.
mohawk.
It's really weird.
The whole team was like, "We're gonna do a mohawk." I was like, "I gotta do something different." So I
Yeah.
was like, "I gotta do double mohawk." So we did the double mohawk. We did win the state. We also won state in the swim team when I was on the swim team. So
2
Also,
rings.
one thing about the swim team, that's where I met Coley Crosby on the swim team, because that was my first year back to school.
Yeah.
They're like a real school.
Yeah.
And so Dave Jones knew I was coming back to school, so he hit me up. He's like, "Hey, you need to join the swim team." I was like, "All right."
Yeah.
And so anyway, doing the swim team, I would run from our house to swim practice, carrying fins on my back, and Coley Crosby's like, "You're crazy, bro."
Wait, you would run from our house to
Yeah.
swim practice?
Our house in Hunters Woods in
Oh,
Crowfield.
so not that far.
It's like 3 miles.
Dang.
Run 3 miles to swim practice.
Why?
Do swim practice just because
Yeah.
I wanted to be crazy, I guess.
All right.
And so anyway, did that till Dave Jones told me I had to stop running because he needed me to swim faster.
I was going to say, you're burning yourself out before you even get to practice.
But Coley Crosby's like, "You're crazy, bro."
Yeah.
So then he was like, "I'm going to hang out with Chad."
I like the crazy guy. I'm going to hang out with the crazy guy.
So I did that. Anyway, all good team sports. Enjoyed the camaraderie, especially on the football team. I really enjoyed the football because you're weightlifting, you're running, you're sweating, you're doing hard physical work. You got this goal to achieve of getting the quarterback, which I did get him multiple times on the defensive line. And apparently Brendan Gilbert remembers me crushing him. I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, I don't know. Brendan he was like 9th grade.
Yeah.
I think he was moved up from JV to varsity.
Yeah.
And when the playoffs hit.
He was a stud.
Yeah.
Brendan's a
But on the field with all y'all, he was so small,
compared
bro.
to
But I
us,
mean, he was a bullet.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He would
he's a
light a
stud.
dude up. Yeah.
He still is a stud.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
And in college, he was like jacked.
Yeah.
He's jacked at Clemson.
Yeah, he's ripped.
With you. And
Yep.
you and him
Shredded.
have some memories.
Dude's been shredded. Dude's been shredded the whole time I've known him.
Well, also, like he said on this podcast, you lit him on fire.
I did. I totally forgot about that.
Or he lit himself on fire for your video.
I mean, I remember right when he started talking about it, I remembered it, but I had actually forgot about that. And then when he started talking, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I cannot believe we decided to do that.
Yeah.
Definitely didn't tell our parents. Just like, hey, let's light each other on fire, or, light Brendan on fire.
Yeah.
And, God, that was a good time. Our teacher was not happy about it, though. She gave us an A, but.
There you go.
You
You got the A, boys. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
A couple other things we also did was Royal Rangers, which was like a Boy Scout type thing where basically you go out in the woods, you camp, you tie knots, you get a cut and chop card.
Mm-hmm.
You have to go through a course to get this card that says you're able to use a knife and a tomahawk and a hatchet and all this stuff and a saw.
Yeah.
So lots of
certified.
Certified, that's right. And if you mess up, you get a corner cut off. And if you get all 4 corners cut off your cut and chop card, your card goes away. You got to go through the course again.
Get your card revoked.
Yeah. But one of the things I remember from Royal Rangers is like doing the campouts after Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
So cold.
Super.
So
freezing.
Cold.
You'd have to get the sub temperature. What do you call it? The
freezing temperature.
The freezing temperatures. Yeah. Sleeping bags. The cocoon ones.
Oh yeah.
You're sleeping on the floor. It's still cold.
Yeah.
You're free. I hated sleeping. That was the worst part about the camping trips was sleeping.
Well, if you were,
that was so miserable.
If you were privy to Mr. Randy's setup, he had some heaters.
Yeah,
some
he's cheating.
Heaters.
He's cheating. That's cheating. I'm old school, boys.
Well, you go outside to take a leak in the middle of the night. It's cold, boys.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's cold. You know it.
So doing crazy campouts like that, and also what we would do on those campouts, me, Ben, Chris, who's one of our trainers, and then Bryce, who's in the Army, sneak around, and Josh. Wasn't Josh doing that?
A couple of us, yeah.
Dress up in camo.
We mix it up a little bit.
Sneak around the campground.
Yeah.
Do crazy stuff.
Yeah. That's that Navy SEAL mindset.
Then something else I was doing was Sea Cadets, and Ben was a Sea Cadet too.
Hated it.
For a while.
Hated it. I did it for a year, I think.
But it's like a ROTC thing.
Mm-hmm.
And basically during the summer, you go away for a couple weeks to training or a boot camp, and Ben went to boot camp.
Bro. That's the moment I knew the military was not for me. The day that I got there. I knew the whole freaking 2 weeks I was there that this was not my type of thing. And it was miserable every single day, bro.
You don't like the military stuff?
It was just miserable.
Yeah.
It was just everything about it just not for me. Yelling, early mornings, watch. They made you do watch. I literally slept on the dryer one time while I was running.
During watch?
Yeah, because it was warm. And it was freaking miserable, bro.
Well, during the summer, you'd go off to these different training camps.
Yeah.
Then during the year, you'd spend 1 weekend a month on the Yorktown.
Yeah.
Did you ever do that?
Yeah. I did it for like a year.
You'd sleep on the Yorktown. You'd stand watch on the Yorktown. You'd do these classes or whatever. So if you're into it, pretty cool.
Yeah, if you're into it, it's cool. I'm hammering it hard.
But I remember whenever I was 14, I went to a summer training in Chicago, my first time flying. And I remember Mom and Dad told me, when you get to the airport in Chicago, it was a nonstop flight. When you get to the airport in Chicago, you have to go to the closest payphone and call us to tell us you arrived.
Yeah.
And so this is before cell phones and all that.
Yeah.
So I get there, I'm like, I ain't calling them.
Oh, no, Lordy. Oh, Lordy, day one. We're making bad decisions.
So I hook up with the training people, and they take me to the Navy base and all that. And then anyway, Mom and Dad call them. And so then they like, what the hell, Singer?
Oh, did you get in trouble?
Oh, yeah. They called me to their office. I had to call Mom and Dad from that phone in the office. And then they were
What'd you say? They say, hey, why didn't you call us?
Yeah.
What'd you say?
Yeah, I was like, oh, I didn't know what to do or whatever.
I didn't want to call them. I don't know. I'm lost. Give me a break.
I was overwhelmed in the airport as a 14.
It is a lot.
First time going through an airport.
The airport for me still is a little overwhelming.
It is
like,
crazy.
what do I do?
I don't really like flying because the airports are crazy.
Yeah,
I've spent many a nights in an airport. So have you.
Yeah, I slept in the Miami airport one time. That was awesome.
So anyway, that's kind of, I'm trying to think of other things that happened growing up. I remember, let's see, homeschooling years. Me, Ben, and Andrew would be at the house by ourselves, and we'd just be playing games.
Legos, baby.
Legos.
Be playing Legos.
A lot of Legos.
Legos.
That was the game of choice.
Legos were the money maker.
Oh yeah.
For the single
Star Wars
boys.
Legos.
Star Wars Legos. Any Legos.
Pirate Legos.
Oh yeah.
Good.
Legos are just good overall.
Yeah. really good. I remember being homeschooled, and might be why we were no longer homeschooled. But Mom was in the front yard doing some kind of yard work. Mm-hmm. I was in the homeschool room doing like Latin or whatever, and I knew where she kept the answer keys.
Ain't no way.
I would just get the answer.
Oh
key
my
out.
God!
You didn't know this?
No, bro.
Are you serious?
No.
You didn't know this, bro?
I didn't know.
Holy shit,
The
dude.
answer key?
I would legit get the answer key and just copy it on my test.
Oh my God.
And Mom caught me one time. And that was pretty much the end of homeschool, I'm pretty sure.
Was it really?
I'm pretty sure, if my memory serves
So
me
that's
right.
why we went down with the ship, huh? You ruined it for all of us. This dude ruined it for all of us. Shut the school down. I don't remember that. I don't even think I was aware of that.
You might have been too young. I don't know.
I don't even think I was aware.
I remember that vividly. She was upset.
Vividly. I mean, you're cheating on your tests. Maybe that was then.
Latin doesn't matter, boys.
Yeah. Then you went to high school and had to take Spanish 101. Yeah.
Struggled through that too.
Oh yeah, that was rough.
Anyway, so that was kind of growing up. Any details that I missed through high school that you remember?
Nah. I mean,
significance.
Nothing of significance.
I guess whenever I was a senior, they made me the school president. You remember that?
I was gonna say treasurer, president.
What do they call that? School council?
Yeah, something like that.
And the thing is, I don't even know how I got into that position because I didn't want it.
Did you apply?
I don't think so.
You had to have.
Did I apply? I don't know.
You're asking the wrong person. I was 3 grades below you.
Somehow they made me the middle and high school president.
Really?
They call it school council president.
Really?
You know what I'm talking
How'd
about.
that go?
I don't know. I just going with it, you know?
Did you have any meetings or anything?
Oh,
or
yeah.
was it
Responsibilities.
responsibilities?
Assistant principals and let's see, had to make sure the fundraising events were going as they were supposed to. And every class has their own student council.
Yeah.
So I was like,
that's what I'm
meeting
saying.
with those student councils, like the senior class councils, the junior class council, whatever, you know?
That's crazy.
So I don't even know how that even happened. I do remember doing that.
I think you had to apply to run.
Or someone nominates you.
Yeah.
I think someone in the faculty might have nominated me or something.
I'm not really I'm not an office politics guy. You know what I'm saying? I kind of steered away from that.
But I was that was interesting how I ended up in that role.
Yeah. So, yeah. And take anything away from that experience?
Nah, I don't really remember it other than a couple of fundraisers I had to do.
Yeah.
So
interesting.
Anyway, that was cool.
Yeah.
And so then, I will say that in high school I wasn't very good academically. Like I always struggled academically. You know what I'm saying?
Preach.
And I would always have those talks with Mom and Dad. I had to have a C on the report card, be getting to talking to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly what the rule was, but you had
B's
to
or above.
B or
above, yeah.
When for me, D's make degrees, you know what I'm saying?
And college, yeah. I get, yeah. So, you know, yeah.
So anyway, left high school, went to college, went to the Citadel in South Carolina, like I've talked about on other podcasts.
Yeah.
Went on a Navy ROTC scholarship, which basically means that the Navy's going to pay for a portion of your school. They don't pay for the whole thing, at least not for me, probably because of my academics.
Really? That's not what I was told.
What were you
told? I was told before I went to college, the military pay for everything if you sign up.
I think the Army does.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think the Navy does. Or maybe some of the things at the Citadel, like the boarding, they don't pay for some of that stuff.
Maybe it's because it's the Citadel.
I wonder if they pay for like the base pay.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Interesting.
So I didn't get my whole tuition covered or my whole college experience covered by the Navy ROTC scholarship, but then you commit to doing 8 years in the Navy, and you can do 4 active, 4 reserve, right, if you wanted to.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'm going to do 20 or 30 years.
Yeah.
That was my plan.
Yeah.
So anyway, got that scholarship, went to the Citadel, and started off as a physics major. And I started off as a physics major because in the Navy scholarship program, you have to choose a technical major.
Physics.
So I thought physics is cool. I enjoyed physics class in high school where you basically were just playing around in the room.
That was my worst class.
Really?
Physics and chemistry.
What was his name? Whitlock?
Mr. Whitlock.
Mr. Whitlock.
And then there was a lady.
I didn't have the lady.
Miss Strickland, I think, or something.
I didn't have her. I just had Mr. Whitlock.
Oh, man.
But I enjoyed that class because you're just doing experiments. So I was like, I'll do physics. I'll major in physics. I could do that all day.
You good at math?
So I told Mr. Whitlock, I said, I'm majoring in
shit.
physics because of your class. And he was like, what? He's like, this is not like real physics.
Oh, shit. He was like, hey, you. Nah,
yeah, he was
nah,
like,
nah,
I don't
nah,
think
nah,
you
nah.
understand. This is not like real physics. And I was like, it's fine.
Yeah.
So I go to college, and my first semester, horrible. Horrible.
Well, why?
First of all, I'm a knob, so I'm tired all the time.
You don't have time to study.
Well, you don't have
Or you don't have time to rest.
I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I'm into like the Citadel military side of the stuff, but I'm not into the academics.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I don't have to do this homework. I just won't do it.
Yeah.
I go to class, I sleep, no one cares. No problem. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I've been there a couple of times.
So my first semester, I lost all, because I had other scholarships like the Boys State Scholarship or whatever.
Yeah, Boise State.
You have to maintain a certain GPA. I lost all that.
Dang.
My GPA tanked, like below 1 or whatever.
Dang.
The Navy calls me in, my Navy officer in charge of me calls me into their office. You have to fix your grades.
Dang.
Like, you're in trouble, basically.
Yeah.
I have to go to study hall and all this stuff.
Holy cow, bro. The Navy got you.
That was my first semester, bro.
That
But as a
sucks.
knob, I was a good knob, you know?
Yeah.
From the Citadel side of the house, but from the academic side of the house, I sucked.
Yeah.
I do not like academics. I'm just not a good college or whatever, you know?
Just education.
Right.
Type thing. Curriculum.
So I changed my major from physics to civil engineering,
Mm-hmm.
civil and environmental engineering, because, number one, it was technical. Number two, you didn't have to do foreign language if you were an engineer.
Oh,
so I was like, I'm getting out of that foreign language.
Yeah. The foreign language was getting you, huh? It seems like.
Well, I tried to change to like athletic sciences, which is like fitness, exercise science.
Yeah.
The Navy said no.
Really?
You got to be technical.
They need you smart. They need you smart. They don't want dumb people joining the Navy.
So then I went into civil engineering, and I did a little bit better, but I still struggled with a lot of courses. But I ended up like getting through that.
Still a lot of math, though, right?
Yeah, calculus 1 through 4.
Holy
I failed calculus 1 3 different times.
Bro, I believe
I even took it every summer. I was taking summer classes at like College of Charleston, at the Citadel, and online at different colleges to try and catch up, because the civil engineering curriculum is like 5 years of coursework put into 4 years.
Dang.
So like you're stacked.
Yeah.
Every semester is like 23 to 25 credit hours, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Because my roommate, Ben Easley, he's criminal justice. He's got like 12 credit hours. You know what I'm saying? I got 25. I got more than twice.
That is crazy.
All my buddies that are doing athletic sciences and all that, you know, they got 12 credit hours.
Yeah.
I got 25.
Yeah, I mean, you're in a smart degree, bro.
It's crazy, bro.
Engineering, physics, I mean, you're going down the wrong path.
Yeah,
well, you know, maybe not the best choice.
So I did that, but then I realized second semester, knob year, so my freshman year, that if you go and you study with the teachers in their offices, that even if you have bad grades or if you suck, they'll still pass you.
Because you're putting the time in.
Because you're like showing up to their office hours and talking to them and building relationship. So that's what I did the rest of my time there. That's how I passed.
Yeah.
That's how I got through college.
Hey, honestly, though, that's how you work college. Like, for anywhere, just talk to your professor a lot and, like, ask them questions about the, like, course or whatever. And, like, they'll be like, you know, and they'll maybe.
Well, I would also, the Citadel has, I forgot what they call it, but they have, like, a area where you go. There's tutors in there. Yeah. You can go and they'll tutor you. So I was doing that, too. I was doing everything.
Dang, bro.
You know what I'm saying?
Dang.
I was going ham.
Putting the hours in.
And I also had to learn that after dinner, you don't go back to your battalion to, like, your room, your dorm room, basically, to do your homework. You have to go to an academic building, because then you'll be distraction free. Because my roommates will be playing video games.
Yeah, having a good time.
Homework.
Yeah.
I got all this crazy freaking homework to do. You know what I'm saying?
Dang. That's the worst part about it, man.
But as a knob from the Citadel military side of the house, I was good to go. Blitzing my brass.
Yeah. That part, you're good.
I was having a good time doing all that. I was getting PT'd by upperclassmen. I was loving it. You know?
Yeah, they were bullying me. Hell yeah.
I remember one time,
make me do push-ups, sir, please.
Lots of push-ups.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, so I told this on the podcast with Colonel Prindle. But anyway, I got in trouble my knob year because my roommate was struggling on the military Citadel type side of the house.
Yeah.
He was a smart kid, but anyway, so I was getting in trouble because of him. So one time I went up to him and kind of told him off.
Yeah.
And so then he went to the TAC officer, which is like the adult in charge of all the
Yeah,
students
yeah,
in that
the one
barracks.
guy in control of like 100
And
kids.
they got me in trouble for they call it a battalion transfer 120 tours, BT 120.
Mm-hmm.
So I got in trouble and I got transferred to a new battalion. So I left my company that I started with, which was Papa Company, 5th Battalion, which I was super proud to be part of that company. Got transferred to Oscar Company, 4th Battalion, known as the Zoo. And at first I was not liking being there, but then I became a zoo boy, zoo crew. Yeah, lots of monkey noises in the zoo.
Yeah. I remember you transferring
and Naked
there.
Zorro. Naked Zorro lives
Naked
in the zoo.
Zorro?
Oh, yeah.
Who's that?
It's a senior that runs around naked with a mask and a sword. Only in the zoo.
Holy, these guys. These military guys, you got to watch them.
The Citadel has a lot of good traditions at it.
Holy.
So anyway, I transferred from Papa Company to Oscar Company, 4th Battalion. I was like a special case, so I'm getting visited all the time by upperclassmen who are wanting to PT me and talk to me and all this. And my roommate, football player, dude's getting just crushed all the time.
Too many people coming in. He can't. Yeah, he can't.
He was a super nice guy.
Yeah.
And so anyway, finished out that year, ended up getting the passing GPA, which was like 2.5 to maintain my Navy scholarship and like stay out of trouble.
Yeah.
Which is still a low GPA.
2.5, hey. C's get degrees or D's get degrees, you know. That's that bracket.
Yeah. So then anyway, I wanted to be cadre, which is like for my sophomore year, I wanted to be cadre, which is like the upperclassmen that trained the new knobs coming in. But I got denied because the trouble that I was in.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's sophomore year, or that summer, I went off to Navy training where I did like 4 weeks of training with the Navy as a midshipman. And I think I did 1 week in aviation, 1 week in submarines, 1 week on surface ships, and 1 week with the Marines. And they're just basically trying to expose you to all the different possibilities of things you can do.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, go back to the Citadel that fall. And I do remember during the summer breaks, I'd be working out in the mornings at the gym down the road from our house, which the neighbor Tim worked at, Big Tim.
Oh, yeah.
He worked out there.
Yeah, Big Tim. Yeah.
And so anyway, go back in the fall to the Citadel for my sophomore year, roll in there. Basically, that first semester, I was kind of like lost. I think that first semester, I do remember who my roommate was. But Ben Easley at the time, the guy I became really close with at the Citadel, he got transferred from F Troop for whatever he got in trouble from. So me and him were kind of like hooking up as buddies.
Yeah.
You know, hanging out as buddies.
Yeah.
Because we were like the guys that were transferred into Oscar from other companies. But anyway, sophomore year, first semester, I felt kind of lost, you know, because I was transferred from a different battalion, didn't have a lot going on. Military side of the house, because I wasn't a knob anymore. I was hanging out with a bunch of just random people.
Yeah, just like you don't have a place.
Yeah, you're hanging
out. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
So I actually thought about transferring to a different college because I was so upset that I was not able to go back to Papa Company because I did try.
Yeah.
But anyway, then second semester, sophomore year, me and Ben Easley were both promoted to company clerk, which is like the highest ranking sophomores in your company. So got pretty stoked about that, carrying the guide on in parades.
Nice.
Basically in charge of the sophomores, and then me and Ben Easley would handle some knobs.
Yeah, handle them, push-ups, push-ups, and more.
We actually got very, very close with the knobs that we were training, you know, at the time, and got super tight with those guys.
Yeah.
But that semester, my company commander, me and him had some kind of disagreement.
Yeah.
And so I went into his room one evening and trashed his room, and then I got in trouble for that.
I wonder why.
And so I trashed his room, got in trouble for that, got more tours. And so, so I got in trouble again.
A lot of walking.
Still academically struggling, but I was doing my game plan, meeting with the professors, going to the tutoring, staying out of my room at nighttime to study in academic buildings, and I was able to maintain that GPA I needed. But then my appendix burst that semester,
dude, I
too.
remember that. Yeah.
So I remember this. So I was like, I felt sick to my stomach after dinner one night, so I lay in my rack, which is my bed, and I lived on the top rack. Ben Easley had the bottom rack. And so he's like, you don't look good, bro. And I'm like, I just got to lay here.
Yeah.
So I just laid there.
Yeah.
The next day, the people that would routinely just come hang out with us in our room, they're like, what is wrong with you, dude? You don't look good.
Dang.
They're like, your face is pale white, and I'm just like passed out.
Holy.
So Ben wakes me up. He's like, hey, you need to go to the infirmary. So I go to the infirmary, which is right across the street.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, you have a stomach bug. You're excused from class today. Stay in here and sleep. And they hooked me up to an IV. So did all that. 12 hours later, they're like, all right, time for you to go back to your room. And I'm like super foggy.
Out of it.
I'm out of it.
Yeah.
And I'm like stumbling back to my room.
Holy
I was like,
crap,
I'm not
bro.
good. And they're like, you need to go back to your room.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay. So I go back to my room. It's like in the evening, stumble back into the room, crawl back into my bed, go back to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So then later, I crawl back out, go back to the infirmary. They say, hey, we're sending you home to get better. So they send me home. And then basically, I remember just laying in my bed and all of a sudden screaming. Dad picks me up, takes me out of the car, takes me to the hospital.
I remember that part. I was home that night. Yeah. I was like, oh, shit, something happened because this is not normal, bro. You know what I'm saying? Based on your normal behavior.
So they took me to Trident Hospital. They didn't look at me till the next day, or I don't know all the details of what happened, but they basically just loaded me up on Dilaudid, which is a crazy painkiller.
Yeah.
The next day, they're like, your appendix is burst, which is bad, obviously.
Yeah, right.
Because now there's like gangrene in your body and pus pockets everywhere. So they go in, they start removing stuff, but I'm in the hospital basically for like a month at Trident.
Was it really a month?
I think so.
Sure. Yeah, I don't remember the timetable.
It was a long time.
Dang.
I'm in the hospital.
I wonder how long your appendix was burst for. Was it just that one night that you went home?
Like a day or something. They said I was like hours away from dying because that gangrene gets in your body. It can kill you.
Yeah. Well, I'm just thinking if it burst at the Citadel, bro. You were there for like 2 days, then you stayed at the house for one. That's like 3 days. If your appendix burst, it's crazy, bro.
If you catch it like when it's happening, it's easy. Before it bursts, if you can get it out, it's not a factor. But once it bursts, you're screwed.
How are you supposed to catch it, though? Just based
Once
off of how you feel?
Bad, they do an x-ray or something.
Yeah. Dang, that's
so anyway, I just remember being in the hospital for a long time. I'm pretty sure it was like a month. I'm also thinking about my school because I'm like, holy cow, are they going to push me back a grade?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because now I'm delayed.
All your progress.
And I remember that the Navy ROTC professor of military science, who's basically like the head honcho of the Navy at the Citadel, he's a Marine colonel. He shows up, walks into my room. I'm puking into a trash can. He's like, you need to get your freaking grades up, Singer. And he walks out. That's what he said.
What the hell?
This dude did not like me.
Oh, shit.
Because I kept getting in trouble.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And my grades sucked.
Holy crap. So he shows up. He's like, hey, get your grades better. See you later. That's it?
Not like that.
Well, yeah, but he's like, get your freaking grades up. See you later.
Yeah,
That's such a weird appearance.
He was not happy. He did not like me. But I think he was like just showing face that he visited me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like someone told him to go there, probably. Hey, go here, show up to this.
But he's the head honcho. I don't know.
That was a weird interaction.
It was weird, but that dude did not like me. Did not like me because I kept getting in trouble. And my grades sucked.
Yeah.
So anyway, got through the appendix thing. I go back to the Citadel. And then like a week later, my stomach's killing me again. So they send me back to the infirmary. And this time they sent me to MUSC.
Yeah.
And they found out there was more pus pockets in my body.
Dang.
They had to go in, operate again.
Really?
Yeah. I was there for like a week or however long, at least a couple days. Then they sent me back to the Citadel with a hose coming out my butt cheek with a bag.
I remember this.
The pus is draining out.
Yeah.
So there's a tube that goes into your body through your butt cheek up into your stomach area. And then there's a bag that hangs off the side. It's basically stitched to your skin.
Really?
Yeah. And you got to
so funny.
drain this bag every day. It fills up with nasty
Ew.
pus. But I can't do it because it's behind me. So my roommate Ben Easley is draining it every day for me, bro.
Dude's dedicated.
Shout out to Ben Easley for taking care of me doing that shit.
Jeez. I don't know if I could do that. That's so nasty.
So I did that for a month. I'm walking around the Citadel with crutches, going to my classes.
Yeah. Here comes old Wobbly.
And that professor of naval science, the colonel, he'd be, Singer, you getting better? Are your grades up?
What the
Every
hell,
time
dude?
he sees me, dude.
Jesus.
I'm like, oh, my God, that dude hated me, bro.
Yeah. It's this guy's deal. Sees you struggle on the street. Walk straighter. One of those guys.
So then that rest of that semester, I was basically not doing much of them. I was still like having some knobs come visit me.
Yeah.
But,
You got the little minions.
But other than that, basically was just focusing on grades. Was able to pass that semester, which they were on the edge of like cutting me because they were like, you've been out of school for too long. But I was busting my ass trying to make up all that schoolwork.
How'd you catch up though? Like learning wise.
Legit, just visiting with the teachers every single day outside of their hours.
Yeah.
And I remember the one class I didn't know if I was going to pass was surveying, and he ended up passing me with a D. I was like, thank God, you know?
Hey, D's get degrees. You know
that class was freaking hard.
Really? Surveying?
Yeah.
Like where
It's a lot of
is it
math.
the guys with the tripod
Yeah,
and they're like on the streets, you see them all the time?
Oh, yeah, I took 2 semesters to survey.
Really? I just thought they were taking
Colonel
pictures.
Dion, Colonel D. If you're a Citadel civil engineer, you know who that is.
Colonel D, boys.
Super hilarious guy.
Yeah, good to go.
He looks kind of like the fisherman aliens off of Andor, episode 11. But
That's funny. Good comparison.
Anyway, so left that sophomore year. I was excused from summer training for the Navy sophomore summer because I had to catch up on so much schoolwork. I took so many, my whole summer was classes. Went back to the Citadel junior year. I was recovered from the appendix, so I was good to go. This is the year that if you want to be a summer all guard, when you're a junior, this is when you're trying out for it that whole year.
Yeah.
Right? So I knew that's what I wanted to do. And the Summer All Guards is basically a silent drill platoon at the Citadel. It's 61 members of the Summer All Guards. That's why the number 61 means so much to us.
Yeah.
But anyway, so
it's a cult.
rolling into that, it's like knob year all over, but you're a junior.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the Summer All Guards are your upperclassmen. So I knew I was going for that. I had recovered from the appendix issue. I had put on weight again because I had lost all my weight dealing with the appendix.
Yeah. Trained you.
Yeah. So I'd built back up my endurance and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And my academics were on point. So I'd caught up academically. So going into junior year, doing all this stuff, the Navy told me, do not do the Summer All Guards. My Navy advisor said, do not do the Summer All Guards. Focus on your academics. And I was like, I'm doing it.
Yeah. There ain't no way you're not doing it. Yeah.
So I was keeping it low key whenever I was around them. But basically that year, the first semester from what is called as a BVA, someone that's trying out for Summer All Guards, from a BVA perspective, the Summer All Guards are inspecting your uniforms, and they're going to ask you random knowledge. You have to greet them, all this kind of stuff. So I was doing that. I did want to do the cadre, which is the people that are training the knobs. That first semester, but I didn't make it there again because of my previous history of getting in trouble.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't want someone that had that history training the knobs. So I ended up being like an upperclassman platoon sergeant, which is like a staff sergeant.
Oh, yeah.
And I was just hanging out.
They pulled the files up on
Had
you.
a good time at that point. At that point, I was basically done with like messing with knobs because I was focused on the Summer All Guard stuff.
Graduating, yeah.
But I do remember on Friday evenings when there's a Saturday morning inspection the next day, basically you have to clean the whole barracks like top to bottom. So I had the knobs out doing a sweep detail, and these 2 kids from Tango Company, they walked back into the battalion later that evening after they went out to grab some dinner. They came back because on Friday night after parade, after everything's done, upperclassmen can leave.
Yeah, a little free time.
Come back.
Yeah.
So they came back. They had some Chick-fil-A trash. Actually, I was a senior at that point, so that I'll save that story for later. But anyway, junior year, I'm doing the BVA thing. Academics are okay. Get into second semester, junior year, doing the full out Summer All Guard thing where you're doing your classes. As soon as classes are over, about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you change into your BVA training uniform, which is green pants, BVA shirt, and a Citadel sweatshirt, and your rifle and your gloves and all that, Chuck Taylor shoes, running around, doing PT, doing all this crazy stuff. When I was going out for a squad called Death Squad, which is known for their physical training, made it into that squad. So did all that, made it into the Summer All Guards, trying to figure out if I'm missing anything. Still doing the academics. During that time, I was like, just balls to the wall. Be up early, studying. I'd have to go to Navy PT in the mornings, going to class, prepping all my summer all guard stuff, doing the summer all guard stuff after that, recovering, doing my homework. So I was basically sleeping like 3 hours a night.
Yeah.
Every night.
That's great for the brain.
Crazy. Lots of caffeine.
Yeah.
Caffeine pills.
Oh, yeah. That's what we were resorted to, huh?
Sold them
Coffee didn't cut it.
They sold them in the cadet store.
Holy
caffeine pills. So do all that. Make it through that. Make it to the summer all guards. Make it through the academics with the GPA maintaining acceptable levels.
All right. As long as we're at that line.
I'm still doing the teacher open offices.
Call it hangout sessions at this point.
I'm still doing the tutoring availability.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm also we've built like in the engineer, because when you're a junior in college, basically you start focusing on your what they call it, your major.
Yeah.
You focus on your major classes. Like your freshman and sophomore years are all what we call core classes. Mm-hmm. So you're mixed with a bunch of random majors. Junior and senior year, you're focused on your major.
Yeah.
So most of your classes are going to be with the people that are in your major.
Yeah.
So what we would do is we would have times to meet, and we would all work on the homework together.
Oh, really?
And someone might be, stronger in one subject but weaker in another, so we could all balance each other out.
Interesting.
And then we had, as an engineer, you had to work on, I think it's called AutoCAD, which is an engineering computer program. You had to go to the engineering building, work on your projects on this computer program. So we'd all meet in there, do that.
Yeah.
We go, a couple of us would sneak off campus to Taco Bell.
Oh, yeah.
Buy a couple Taco Bell.
Taco box?
Taco boxes.
Oh, yeah.
Bring them back, feed everybody. We'd be in there all night, pulling all-nighters.
The boys with the Taco Bell.
Not even kidding.
Yeah.
We do that on Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night.
Nice.
Legit. Because the engineering projects are freaking crazy.
Yeah.
So did all that. I remained a platoon sergeant the whole time through junior year. Coming back as my senior year, I wanted to be cadre again. They denied me again because of my history.
Dang, I got the paperwork pulled up on
so
you.
I never got to be cadre. But between junior and senior years, that summer, I went off for summer training with the Navy, and they sent me to I believe it was Jacksonville, Florida, and they put me on a frigate, and I was basically part of ship's company for a month.
Yeah.
So basically, was basically seeing what happens when you're in the Navy as what we call a surface warfare officer. And, I was like, if I end up on a ship, I'd like to be on a frigate, because I liked how the frigate was like a small, tight-knit crew. Mm-hmm. And the officer that I was basically shadowing for that month, super chill, super cool.
Yeah, yeah.
And he was like I think he was the commo, actually. So anyway, did that, was there with several other midshipmen. And the guy that I was hanging out with the most, his name was Arnold. And Arnold was a crazy guy.
Oh.
And he was from...
Every guy named Arnold is.
He was from another military school called Norwich, which is up north, I think, in Vermont. And so, of course, me being from the Citadel, him being from Norwich, we were a little psychotic.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, the two crazies found each other. Yeah.
And so one
That's
night...
going to be good.
One night, me and Arnold, we go out on the town. And
there we go.
Down in Florida or whatever.
Yeah.
And so we're walking back to base from the main strip where all the bars are at and all that. Mm-hmm. We're both pretty intoxicated.
Yeah.
And
sauced up.
Yeah, we're walking back, and all of a sudden Arnold just keeps disappearing on me. I'm like, where the hell did Arnold go?
Yeah.
It's like 3 a.m. right now. I'm like, where the hell did Arnold go?
Yeah.
And then next thing I know, I realize he's laying in these bushes in these people's front yard as we're walking by their house.
Didn't make it.
I'm like, I run over to him, like, wake up, we got to go back to the ship.
Yeah, we got to make it back.
He's like, I'm tired. I'm like, well, let's walk back.
Getting a little grumpy. Yeah.
And this happened constantly on the walk back, dude. This dude's like,
just wanted to lay down.
The dude would literally run away from me. I'd be like, dude, I can see you, because I was watching him at that point.
Yeah.
And jump into the bushes and literally try to sleep.
Holy cow, bro. You just love bushes. Love sleeping in bushes. This guy's got a bush thing.
I was thinking about Arnold doing that.
Yeah.
Crazy.
This is what you get when you put the two crazies together, by the way. You got people sleeping in bushes.
Oh, my gosh, dude. So me and him made it back to the ship. We're good to go. We went underway a couple times, which means you go out to sea.
Yeah.
And they made us go out to sea one time because there was a hurricane coming. So we saw the hurricane out in the middle of the ocean. We went around it. It was kind of crazy.
Really?
So anyway, did that. Came back to the Citadel for senior year. Was a upperclassman platoon sergeant, which means basically, or not platoon sergeant, platoon leader. So I was like the senior in charge of a bunch of upperclassmen, hanging out doing that. Was a summer all guard, so I was doing that. And then, just like when I was in high school, how they made me the student council president, the Navy ROTC detachment decides to make me the detachment commanding officer, cadet commanding officer. So I'm like, what the heck? I didn't want this, you know? So they throw me into this position, maybe because they were like, this guy's got a bad history. Let's throw him into a leadership position. I don't know. So anyway, I did that.
How do you get in these positions? You get elected to office without even running.
I know.
Yeah.
And then the civil engineering department did the same thing.
For what?
They made me the president of the American Society Civil Engineers Citadel student chapter.
And you're the one that is struggling with the grades.
I'm struggling academically. They make me their president.
This is our guy. This is our guy right here. The dude with the C's, put him at the top of the list, baby.
And if any of my fellow civil engineering students remember that, you know, it's like, what the heck is Singer doing?
Yeah.
I think they all wanted me. I don't know. So I was trying to do my best as academically, trying to do my best as a senior platoon leader in the company, trying to do my best as a Navy detachment cadet commander, and then trying to do my best as the American Society of Civil Engineer president. I'm like, holy
Did you ever
shit.
have the option to say no?
No.
I think they're just telling you, hey, this is what you are
I think the Navy,
now.
I tried to say I don't want it, and they said you're doing it. And then the president of the civil engineers, I was like, I don't think I'm a good choice. They were like, yeah, you're the best choice or whatever.
All right. Sure.
The good thing about being in the American Society Civil Engineer student chapter president is you go on these trips with like a engineering faculty.
Yeah.
And then you have 4 other cadets that are like with you on your staff or whatever. So we went to Montreal, Canada for an engineering conference. That was cool.
That is cool.
We went to Clemson for engineering conference, and let's just say that was my first time being at a regular college.
Yeah. How was that?
Outside of the Citadel during college time.
Yeah.
So like college was in session.
Yeah. So all the students are there.
Yeah, so we went down to Tiger Town.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I know Tiger Town, boys.
And we let it rip, boys. And it got crazy. Yeah. And the one thing I do remember is goldfish races.
Yep.
You put a gutter on a table, you fill it up with water, you put goldfish in it, and you put a straw in the water, you blow it behind them to make them race down the gutter. I don't know how. That was the only thing I remember.
Yeah.
And I do remember showing up to the civil engineering conference meetings. Hungover as fuck.
Yeah. Sounds about right, yeah.
And so anyway, I do remember going to a conference with Coley Crosby at Clemson. And Coley, remember, he was on the swim team with me in high school.
Oh, yeah.
He went to the Citadel, too.
Oh, yeah.
So me and Coley are at this conference. We decided to walk back. So we walk back to the hotel from Tiger Town or something.
Yeah.
Cop pulls over. We're like, oh, my God, are we about to get grabbed right now?
What the hell?
And it's like 4 in the afternoon or something. We're
plastered.
Yeah.
You're toasted.
We're walking sideways. If you know
yeah, you're toasted at 4 p.m.
And the dude's like, you guys need a ride? We're like, no, we're good. We're good. The hotel's right up here. He's like, okay. He drives off. We're like, what the heck just happened?
Just trying to give you a ride. Were you guys in uniform or anything?
No, we were
just normal clothes.
Yeah.
That's weird.
So anyway, I also went to USC for a conference. That was crazy.
Yeah.
I remember, for some reason, this just popped in my head. Me and Kyle Fry at Clemson going ham. That's all I remember.
Clemson is they know how to get down up there, you know.
But also, when I was a junior at the Citadel, I roomed with Greg Smith and Kyle Fry. You remember?
Oh,
Greg?
yeah, I remember.
Greg.
I remember Big Greg boys. Oh, Greg.
So anyway, back to senior year, doing all this stuff. Was starting to train BVAs, so I instead of focusing on knobs, I was focusing on making sure the BVAs got their proper training in.
Oh, yeah, sure.
But also backing it up a little bit, the summer between junior and senior year, our buddy Bryce was coming to the Citadel as a knob.
Mm-hmm.
So guess who I called to get him in my company? Casey Stabile.
Oh, yeah.
Because Casey Stabile is a big wig cadet-wise, and he had connections to this.
Pull the strings.
To the president of the college and the commandant. Like, he was the kid everybody liked. I was the kid everybody hated.
Yeah.
So I called Casey. I said, hey, I got this guy. His name's Bryce. He's coming in. Are you able to get him into our company? because Casey was an Oscar.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I'll see what I can do. Later that day, he texted me. He's like, he's in.
Yeah. Dang. Dude's got the power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had him on the podcast,
Nice.
episode 61.
Oh, yeah. Good episode.
And anyway, Bryce ends up in Oscar company. So I was
The
like,
zoo.
oh, yeah, boys.
Yeah.
So, of course, I trained him a little bit, but also gave him some pizza. He got to come
All
hang
right.
out in my
All
room.
right. Yeah. All right.
But anyway, so went through senior year, did the summer all guard thing. We went out, we did Mardi Gras, which
Hell
was
yeah.
crazy. Me, Rob McCrae.
Oh, God. You know Rob, boys. He's a behemoth.
So Rob, I want to get him on the podcast one day. One of my best buddies, but he's a giant.
Yeah, he's
giant.
No, literally.
This dude eats ice cream and pizza.
He's like
and
6'4",
burgers.
6'5".
And he's jacked and shredded.
Yeah.
No matter what.
I've never seen him not eat. I've never seen him not eat.
So we go to Mardi Gras as a summer all guards. We're marching for like 13, 15 miles in the parades.
Yeah.
And then they cut us loose for the evening.
Yeah.
So Rob's like, let me show you what a hand grenade is.
Oh, God.
So he takes me down to Bourbon Street,
Yeah.
gets me these drinks called hand grenades.
Yeah.
And it's basically like a slushy vodka something.
Yeah, just a bunch of stuff.
And
in
me
a
and
slushy.
Rob and the other summer all guards we're with, we're just going ham. And then one of my buddies, Patrick Nugent, he's on the streets and he's mistaking individuals for other individuals.
Oh, shoot. Uh-oh.
So that was entertaining. But so anyway.
No more stories from Mardi Gras,
nah.
boys?
Well,
nothing PG.
Well, you would
related.
think at Mardi Gras.
It get a
you
little
know,
wild.
Well, everyone thinks at Mardi Gras there's like naked girls and all that.
Yeah.
It's actually more naked dudes than there are girls.
All right.
Dudes with their pants off.
Okay.
Don't know what the
All
deal
right.
is.
So you hung out for a while.
But anyway, Bourbon Street was wild, you know.
Yeah.
Hung out with the Summer All Guards doing that. We also did a performance, one of our Summer All Guard performances in Disney World, Epcot. That was cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
I think we did 2 of them. And then we just did a bunch of random performances. So basically the Summer All Guards will go around, they'll travel, and we'll do our silent drill platoon performance, which there's no talking or anything. It's just marching.
Mm-hmm.
And you can look it up on YouTube. It's pretty crazy to watch. It's super cool to do.
Yeah.
Good experience. But anyway, finished up senior year. When we got to from the Navy side of the house, selection on what we're going to do, I got selected to be a SWO EDO. And what that is a surface warfare officer. So basically an officer on ships or surface vessels. EDO is engineering duty officer. So what that meant is I would do 4 years as a regular SWO on a surface ship in the fleet. 2 at one command, 2 at another command. So I would swap where I was working at basically after 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I would go to the engineering duty officer community where basically you don't do that anymore. Basically you're engineering ships and systems that ships use or different systems that the Navy uses for the Navy. So actually my senior year, my grades got really, really good because I had crushed a majority of the classes I had to take sophomore summer, junior summer around my summer trainings. So senior year I had less classes.
Yeah.
I had like 14, 15 credit hours instead of 25.
Yeah.
So I was able to actually do better. And I ended up making Dean's List and all that my last year.
Yeah.
And got some kind of engineering award, which I was like, what the hell? How am I earning all this stuff?
Yeah, stuff's just happening. You're like, okay.
Yeah. And so anyway, got that surface warfare officer, engineering duty officer job in the Navy, which I was happy about because there's a billet for that back in Charleston at SPAWAR. So I was like, I'll go out in the Navy, do my thing. I'll end up back in Charleston, and then I'll be going other places. So I'll be able to be here for a while in the Navy.
Yeah.
The plan still do 20 or 30 years. So basically graduated college on a Saturday, got married on a Sunday, went to my honeymoon the week after that. After that, me and my wife Lauren moved to California.
All right.
So we just drove across the country.
Yeah.
We stopped at a couple places along the way. Las Vegas.
Oh, yeah. Caesar's Palace.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Yeah. So what happened?
I remember me and Lauren were at Vegas.
All right. So tell us.
We get there. We're like, we're not getting a taxi. We're walking down the strip during the day.
Right.
And if you've never been to Vegas, it's freaking hot.
Yeah.
It's like you're in the middle of the desert.
Yeah, literally.
So we're walking down this thing. We get like a mile down the strip. We're like, what the hell are we thinking?
Damn.
You know?
Scorching.
Then we finished the walk. We got down to this whatever clown show or something.
Yeah.
Got a taxi back.
Probably sunburned by the end of that walk.
Went to Vegas. We went to Boulder, Colorado, visited our friends Michael Lucky, Caroline Lucky, Rob McRae.
Mm-hmm.
They were living there.
Big Rob.
Did that. Visited the Easleys and Ben Easley and his family in Kentucky. Stopped in St. Louis. So we went to all these crazy places.
Yeah.
Finally made it to San Diego. We tried to figure out where to live at. We lived in Otay Ranch first. We got a little apartment there. Facing the mountains. You could see the mountains.
Yeah.
And so then I went to walk on to my first ship, which was the USS Gary, which is a frigate. So I did end up getting assigned to a frigate, which is what I wanted if I was going to go into surface Navy.
Yeah.
So I remember walking up. First of all, that night before I was to report, I drove onto the base, kind of scoped out the base, made sure I knew where I was going.
A little intel.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. A little recon.
Then you show up to your first ship in your dress whites with your folder and all this stuff, and you report for duty.
Mm-hmm.
So I show up. There's a big dude on the quarterdeck, which is where you enter the ship at.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Ensign Singer here reporting for duty.
Yeah.
And, in the Navy, when you're an ensign, you're nothing.
Oh, really?
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, you think you're an officer, but you suck.
Yeah, you're at the bottom of the bucket, buddy. Yeah.
So me and a bunch of other new ensigns are showing up. We're checking in. We're getting situated. I'm told my job is to be commo, communications officer. And that was my first job they got assigned.
Yeah.
Which basically, communications officer, you're in charge of the radio men or the IT men, information technology, and you're in charge of the ship's communications and computer systems.
Yeah.
So that's what you're in charge of.
Yeah.
So then they send me to a couple schools to learn that job. And then basically just kind of going into daily routine. I'm basically trying to figure out what the hell I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah. Yeah, you're like acting like you know what you're doing, but you have no clue inside your head. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I feel like everybody does that for their first real job, I feel like.
Except I'm an officer. I'm supposed to be in
You're
charge.
actually supposed to know.
I'm supposed to be in charge. I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Yeah.
I don't know anything.
Damn.
And at the Citadel, they're like, in the summer trainings, they're trying to teach you stuff, but you don't have any idea why it's important.
Is it accurate or is it not even
not even that accurate? It gives you a little bit of information.
Yeah, yeah.
So I show up, I'm like, holy shit. And one thing I did learn is let your senior non-commissioned officer, which is your senior enlisted guys, let them show you and teach you, right?
Yeah.
So I go to my chief, and the first chief I ever had was a hardcore, crazy dude, don't bother me type guy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Leave me alone, yeah.
And he's about to retire.
So he doesn't care.
He doesn't
care.
Flying crap.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? And so anyway, I'm not learning much from him, so I go to the first class, and they're trying to teach me stuff, whatever, they're cool.
Yeah.
And I'm basically just buddies with them.
Yeah.
They say don't do that, but I am just kind of going with that. I'll just be buddies, and we understand that I'm the officer, and they're the first class or whatever, but we all got different jobs. We just respect that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And my job was basically to represent those guys to the captain and the other officers on the ship, and their job, from my perspective, was hey, you guys do what you need to do. I'm not going to bother you. Tell me if you need stuff, I'm going to represent us to the captain and all that.
Yeah.
And so that, for me, that worked out really well. Then we ended up switching chiefs, got a new chief. He was a lot better. He started trying to teach me stuff, but he was also had some, from my perspective, this officer doesn't know anything. I'm just going to take over.
Oh, yeah.
So he kind of just did his thing as a chief.
Yeah.
And I still had that mentality where I'm the officer, I'm representing you guys to the captain and all that.
Right.
Still taking care of stuff that I need to take care of from an officer perspective, but letting them run their own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd be like, hey, we do our work for the day, we get out of here.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the ship was when you're in port, you just show up in the morning unless you're on watch or on duty. So on a Navy ship, there has to be a certain amount of people on that ship
Yeah.
every single day, 24 hours a day. That's what we call on duty.
Yeah.
So you'd have a 24-hour or 48-hour duty. Then you could go home the next evening after work's over. And if you're not on duty, you show up for the work day, you go home. But in the Navy, depending on what ship you're on or what command you're in, the culture's a little bit different. So the culture at first for our ship was you're there at 7 a.m., you ain't leaving until 7 p.m. So you're working a lot.
Yeah.
And so I would let my guys go early, like 2 p.m.,
before
3 p.m.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
5 hours.
Oh, yeah. And I'd like trickle them out. I'd say, hey, so-and-so can leave. So-and-so, you got to like trickle out. You can't all leave at the same time because people will pay attention and like, hey,
Where are you going?
why is Camo's guys leaving?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So then anyway, also whenever you're a new ensign showing up at a surface ship, you have to get qualified. So they give you a big binder full of like papers you have to get signed off and get qualified on all these different positions.
That's fun.
To earn your surface warfare insignia, which is like your pin, surface warfare qualification. You have to do all this stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to work on that. At the same time, I'm trying to learn how to be an officer. At the same time, I'm trying to learn my job as an officer. So figuring it all out.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm letting my guys go early, and that helped build good rapport with me and the guys, I feel like, because the mentality from our perspective was you do your work, you roll out. There's no need to like hang around and act like you're doing stuff.
Yeah.
And the good thing about being in communications or being commo and IT and radio men is no one really can come into your area because it's like top secret. And not everyone is top secret certified on the ship.
Yeah.
But
So no
all
one
of
can
us
really
are.
mess with you.
Yeah, no one can really mess with you. Nobody can come in and like look at your people.
Yeah.
If you're an engineer, anybody can walk in there anytime and see who's there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If you're a gunman,
Yeah.
if you're a master at arms, they can come in there anytime, check who's there. If you're an operational specialist, they like any of these other rates.
Oh, yeah.
But if you're an IT, you have a locked door. No one can access that
Really?
unless you give them access because it's a top secret space.
Dang.
So you have to get the higher classification.
Kind of a luxury then.
It's a luxury. Plus,
work
it's
in
the
there.
space with the most air conditioning on the ship to keep all the computer systems and equipment cool.
Yeah.
It's literally the coolest space on the ship.
Yeah.
We'd be in there wearing these heavy jackets.
Because it's so cold.
It's so cold.
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
go outside, it's freaking hot.
You take your jacket on, yeah.
So anyway, was doing that. We went to RIMPAC, which is Rim of the Pacific exercise, where basically ships from all over
Oh, yeah?
and foreign countries, everyone comes to Hawaii. And we do training off of Hawaii. So you do an import where everyone's ships come into Hawaii, they dock, and then everyone gets off, and you have like a week or whatever in the port where you can hang out, do whatever, but you're also doing some training ashore. And then everybody's ship gets underway, you go off and into the ocean, you start doing training exercises. So one of the things I remember is I was the conning officer coming into Hawaii, and the conning officer is basically the officer that's driving the ship. And the captain's up there. He's going to be up there if you're going in or out of a port.
Right.
But I was a conning officer and, not trying to have an ego or anything, but like I was what they call the gold team conning officer. So basically driving through hard to drive scenarios, I'd be the conning officer that would do that,
Yeah.
And so anyway, driving into Hawaii was a smooth sail and no issues. Then we go to dock we had to pull up next to another ship and, basically moor up next to them, which is parked next to them. We started having some issues.
Uh-oh.
I was making some bad calls and the ship was doing some crazy maneuvers, and we almost came in too hot. But then the captain overrode me a couple times and ended up making it a soft landing. But
that's
we
funny.
came in a little bit hot, a little bit.
As the other ship, people like,
There's people freaking out.
Yeah. Holy.
So anyway, we did the Rim of the Pacific, and one of the things that happened there is, the other thing I remember too is when we got underway to do the underway training portion of the exercise, we had a helicopter squadron on board, which basically means that before you leave San Diego, 2 helicopters will fly on with all their people, and they'll be staying on the ship with you because you'll be doing helicopter operations. And so I'm trying to get my officer of the deck qualification, which I got at RIMPAC. And I remember I was like, officer of the deck. It was my first time being the officer of the deck for the first time, which is a big deal because you're basically in charge of the whole ship. And this was nighttime. The captain was asleep. Everyone's asleep. Everyone that's not on watch.
Here we go.
And we're doing helicopter operations, and all of a sudden the weather gets really, really bad. And a frigate's like a small warship, so it like moves a lot if there's bad weather. And when you're landing a helicopter on a ship, it's crazy.
Yeah.
There's so many factors you got to take into account: the wind, speed, wind direction, how much the ship is turning side to side or forward and back, called pitch and roll. And so we start pitching like crazy. So the ship's like turning side to side like crazy in the storm.
Dang.
I'm starting to freak out.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know if we can land this helicopter. Helicopter's saying they're running out of fuel, so we got to land.
Yeah,
we're out in the middle of the ocean.
Oh.
And we're in the storm. You know what I'm saying? I'm like freaking out.
Yeah.
But we end up finding this heading, this direction that we're driving the ship to where we're able to keep it within limits, which basically means we're still rocking like crazy, but it's within the limits of what the helicopter can handle.
Yeah.
And so the helicopter comes in, it's like trying to land, it just can't do it, and then all of a sudden they just gun it down and just slam
it.
Deck.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, dude, I thought we were gonna lose that helicopter that night.
Really? Holy crap.
It was
bro.
crazy.
Dang. That'd have been a story.
Yeah. But that was freaking terrifying, just being in that scenario, but super cool at the same time.
Yeah,
because you're like in charge of the ship, you're driving the ship, all this stuff's happening.
Got to go through the rough experiences in order to get better sometimes,
Yeah, and I will say our captain from the RIMPAC through our deployment and all that, his name was Captain McDowell. That dude, legit captain.
Yeah, he's
good
hardcore. Yeah.
He was like super, just a good captain.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's still in the Navy doing good things. But in our XO, the executive officer was a hard dude.
Yeah.
But that dude taught me a lot that I didn't realize until later. I didn't like him at first, but then I grew to like him.
Yeah.
So anyway, had a good crew on the Gary. So we did the RIMPAC. One thing that happened was we found a Chinese spy ship was observing one of our aircraft carriers.
Really?
Yeah. But there's nothing you can do because they're like in international waters.
So they're like in an airplane or something?
No, they're in
they're in a ship.
Chinese ship.
Yeah,
and they're just staying way behind the aircraft carrier. You can see them on radar.
Yeah.
But you don't know
so
what it is.
they know that you probably see them.
Oh, yeah. Plus the aircraft carrier is launching jets and they're like circling so we see them there.
Yeah. And they're just like, we're just here.
They're just there. They're just like recording everything we're doing.
Really?
Making observations. Yeah, it was crazy.
Huh.
They have huge radars all over the ship. And that's like a big thing. It's like the Chinese and obviously us and our allies.
Who has radars? Ours or the Chinese?
We do.
Yeah,
every ship does, but this Chinese spy ship, it was specifically a ship to observe and spy on things.
Yeah.
This thing had crazy like all extra stuff on it. Radars, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So we followed them for a while, watching it. We raced the aircraft carrier, which is way faster than a frigate.
Yeah.
And if you just let a frigate rip, if you just go max speed, that thing's going pretty fast. It's going like 30, 35 knots.
Mm-hmm.
The aircraft carrier is just like smoking us. And
really?
It's a bigger ship.
It's bigger engine, bigger everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was cool. But a couple other things I did on the Gary was I went to visit board search and seizure school, which is basically you're learning how to be the boarding team for your ship. So every ship has a boarding team where you learn how to take over another ship, basically.
Yeah.
You board it, you can clear it, you can take over it. So that was something that I needed for our upcoming deployment, which was after RIMPAC. We came back from RIMPAC. We had like 2 weeks, and then we left for deployment.
Yeah.
So I went to that school before RIMPAC, got my officer of the deck qualification on RIMPAC. One of the other things that happened out in the middle of the ocean is we're just going, I think we're going like 20-something knots, and a whale jumped up in front of us.
Really?
Not jumped up, but it like came to surface in front of us, and it was too late, and boom.
Oh.
Oh,
yeah. Every time you tell me, crap.
Yeah.
Just smash them,
And
bro.
every time that happens, you have to file this report and all that. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that does happen.
Really?
But we'd be fishing all the time off the side of the ship and catching like crazy fish.
Yeah.
Big tuna, big blue marlin, you know what I'm saying?
Got
like
a couple marlin?
swordfish.
Yeah.
So all that kind of stuff.
Got to eat them, right?
Oh, yeah. We grill them up on the flight deck.
Nice.
So did all that. Then we went on our deployment, which was to the Eastern Pacific, undisclosed locations.
Classified.
Yeah. And our mission was basically counter narcotics.
Yeah.
So basically what happens is the drug runners, they get into what we call go fast boats. So it's like a small boat that can handle the ocean, and they strap like 4 high power engines to it, and they just gun it.
Yeah.
And they just haul out of some Central American country out into the ocean. Then they beeline it for like California.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we'd be out there. We'd have helicopters with us flying around. We'd catch one of these things. We'd board it. We'd take all their stuff. And they were like, they'd pack the narcotics like cocaine into the side of the
boat.
Small boat. And they'd put like more parts of the boat over it and like make it into the boat.
Yeah.
So we would literally have to take a saw and cut the boat in half to find it.
Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you do with all those drugs, though? You just bring them back with you?
We store them, and then we bring them back to what we call a host nation, which is like
let's just use like
Central America.
Yeah, somewhat like
Guatemala.
Yeah. So you give them the drugs back?
We take it to the host nation.
Yeah.
So the drug cartels, while they are embedded with the host nation a lot, you know, we're playing basically the host nation's playing the game of like, oh, we're trying to find them.
Yeah. They don't care.
Yeah. And so that's basically what we were doing, you know.
No, but I'm saying once you got the cocaine or whatever, you store it.
We store it on our ship.
And then you go to the host nation. You drop the prisoners off, right?
Yeah.
What do you do with the drugs?
Sometimes we drop it off with the host nation.
Yeah.
Some of it we brought back to America.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'd link up with like a Coast Guard ship.
And they would handle it.
And we'd transfer it to the Coast Guard ship. They would take it back to America.
Interesting. I was just wondering.
Yeah. So that's basically what we were doing. I remember trying to think of a couple stories, but
what would happen? You told me this story before, but you know, you're the communications officer. You know, you get some stuff.
Oh,
in transmission.
Well, we are required as a communications division.
Yeah,
we are required to check our servers on our network all the time. And so we just do routine checks, and we'd find people's wives would be sending them nudies all the time.
And they're just trying to help the boys out.
And they'd pop up on our searches, and we're like, oh, my God, that's so-and-so's wife or whatever.
Oh, my God. And you can't say anything to them, right?
Yeah, we wouldn't say anything, but we would delete them all off the network.
Yeah.
And then they'd come back. They'd come to our office and knock on the door. We have a little window with a grate over it.
Right.
And they'd be like, hey, I lost some stuff on my shared drive. And we're like, yeah, it's not there anymore or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Well, there's this one dude on the ship that was obsessed with Lil Wayne, and he would just download hundreds of pictures of Lil Wayne off the internet onto his computer, and we would delete it every day. We're like, why do we have these? Why are we downloading pictures of Lil Wayne? And the dude would come by our thing and be like, hey, I have pictures saved and I can't find them. And it's like, you can't save that many pictures.
He just loves Lil Wayne.
Taking up space. Yeah, it's like
what
crazy.
The heck? That's little quirks.
But I do remember being on the boarding team. You know, I'd get called because when you're on deployment, you're kind of in a rhythm. So you got watch. You know, my main watch was like officer of the deck.
Yeah.
So I'd be up on the bridge, you know, doing that for however many hours, 6 hours or whatever.
Yeah.
Then I'd have to be doing my normal job, which is communication stuff. Then I'd have to do I had a bunch of other jobs. I'm not going to go into all of those, but the boarding team's one of those, so I had to do stuff for that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, you know, you have a lot of stuff going on. You don't get a lot of sleep sometimes, and your watch is changing all the time. So you could be on a day watch, and then the next day you're on a night watch. So you got to somehow figure out how to sleep around that. And I was, like, still trying to work out. We had a small gym on the top of the ship out in the sun, like, strapped down.
Yeah.
So I'd go out there, work out. Anyways, a boarding officer, you could get called at any time if you're on the boarding team to do a boarding, you know, or to do this or to do that.
Yeah, it's like on call.
On call. And so one of the other things we would do is like we would have to ride on the small boat anytime that we needed to launch the small boat, you know, because every ship has a small boat. Most ships have two, but we had one. So I remember this one night they woke me up they're like, hey, you got to go ride the small boat because we intercepted a vessel, and the vessel got away, but we watched them offload. We watched them throw everything into the ocean, so we have to go find it and recover it.
Oh, wow.
It's pitch black.
Yeah.
And it's like bad weather too.
Dang.
So the waves are like,
whoa, dude, ain't no way I'm going out there.
So it's hard to see stuff,
Yeah.
you know, and the ship has the big spotlights. We're looking at night vision. We're trying to find this stuff.
Right.
And the waves are like, you lose it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I go out in the small boat. I'm like tired too, and I have watch coming up. I'm like, I'm not going to get any sleep.
Yeah.
And so anyway, we're out there in the small boat. It's like crazy waves. We're trying to figure out where this stuff is, and the ship is like, oh, we see something. Turn to your right to heading, 090 and go 100 yards. So this is how we were trying to figure out where this stuff was. We drive to that spot, and we'd be like, there's nothing here.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, it went to turn to 080, 100 more yards. So we'd be doing this game all night.
Wasting time.
And so I'm getting pissed.
Yeah.
Everybody else on the small boat's getting pissed.
Yeah.
The XO's on the bridge on the ship telling us where to go.
Yeah.
And, we were able to recover one big bag of just straight cash.
Damn. Big fat stacks.
Oh, yeah. Like the things you see in the movie.
Yeah.
It was like
it.
It was in a watertight bag.
Uh-huh.
It's like so much cash.
Dang.
It's heavy as hell.
How much? How much you think?
A lot. And we had to pull it into the boat out of the water.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The
Yeah.
water's going crazy.
Oh.
So we did that, but then they kept trying to make us find more stuff. And they're like, we see something. So they send us over to it. It's pitch black. And they're like, it's right in front of you. And the only thing in front of me was a bird, like a seagull in the water. And I was like, yeah, I see it right here. It's a seagull. Because I was pissed that we were out there.
Yeah.
And so then they called us back to the ship, and then the XO called me to his office and was like, out of line.
Oh, really?
Making that joke or whatever.
Can't have any fun out here, sir. Yeah.
So anyway, that happened.
Well, at least you got the cash. I mean, whatever.
And then, there's a lot of times where the Go Fast boats would throw their load overboard and try to get away from us, and sometimes we would shoot out their engines, catch them, and then go back and pick up all the stuff.
Yeah.
I remember one time we were pulling this cocaine into our ship that we had captured, and one of the bricks busted in our faces, me and a bunch of dudes that were, it cracked open, and cocaine just into the air.
Yeah.
So we got exempt from the drug test for like a month.
Whoops.
Got high in the Navy.
Yeah.
Whatever you call it when you're on
And I got
cocaine.
paid for it.
So did that, and then last story from that deployment was probably our biggest bust was most of the ships that we were taking down were what we call go fast vessels. So it's kind of like a fishing boat that you see off the coast, of like people deep sea fishing, but they just strap a bunch of engines to it so they can go super fast. But we had an actual cargo ship, which is like the big ships.
Yeah.
That we had intelligence that they were actually trafficking cocaine.
Mm-hmm.
So we start pursuing this thing. We locate it. We start pursuing it. We have a Coast Guard boarding team and our Navy boarding team are all boarding this thing.
Yeah. It's a big ship.
Yeah, it's a big ship. And so it starts throwing the cocaine overboard thinking that we're not going to take it down. But we're like, our captain's like, we're taking this thing down.
Yeah, he wants a prize.
Yeah, he wants a prize.
Yeah. Wait, so when they're throwing it over, is it like bags or whatever?
There's cocaine everywhere.
Is it like containers?
It's
or
like cocaine in a shrink wrap bag.
Yeah,
and
that's it.
Floats for a
Okay.
while,
Yeah.
and then it starts sinking.
I just didn't know. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we board the vessel. It was pretty much not a problem to take everybody down on the vessel. There was no one shooting at us or anything. There was one dude with a knife.
That was it, though? Everyone else didn't have any guns or
Everybody
anything?
else gave up.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
we were there. We had the
Yeah.
helicopter. We had the small boat. We had all these dudes
They
coming
knew it was
on,
over.
decked out.
Yeah.
And my job was, once we got on board, my job was to go to the bridge and drive the ship.
Yeah.
And there was 2 dudes that were going to be up there with me.
Yeah.
Then we had a team going down to engineering to handle the power plant for the ship.
Yeah.
And then we had other people doing other stuff. So I get up to the bridge, and we're like, all right, we're on this ship. And this ship is shit. This thing is run down like crazy.
Yeah.
The engineers get down to the engineering compartment. They call me because we had the radios and all that. They're like, hey, does not look good. It's a diesel generator. This thing is wore out.
Really?
And it sounds like a freaking train engine that's about to blow up. And I can hear it because we're driving. The ship is like,
oh, God.
And this ship is just like not good to go.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
and we're
yeah.
like, okay. So we get orders to drive it back to a Central America country.
Yeah.
So we start driving it. 3 days. This thing goes.
Really?
This thing can only go so fast. It's super slow. And then on the third, and our ship is on the side,
Just
driving
monitoring.
next to us,
Yeah.
and we're driving. I'm 3 days on this thing. I'm like, freaking, this thing sucks.
Yeah,
You know
this
what I'm saying?
sucks.
So we're driving. All of a sudden, boom!
Oh.
Engine blows up. The engine blows up, dude.
Holy
There's
shit.
a fire.
Damn.
So our engineers put out the fire, and then the captain's like, all right, we're getting off the ship.
Mm-hmm.
So we get off the ship, and then a Coast Guard cutter comes, and they tow it back somewhere else.
Yeah.
So that's how we took care
Did
of
you
that.
sleep on that thing?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So like just sleep
Me and
in
the
the
three guys
in
that
the
were on
pilot
the bridge,
room?
one of us would be awake, one of us would be on standby, then one of us could sleep, and I just lay on the floor.
I was gonna say just lay on the floor.
I took my helmet off, and then I just put it on the ground, sleep on
Use
that.
that as a pillow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
No real food or anything. They'd try to get us some food, but it's just like you're in your whole gear. You got your rifle. You got your whole.
Oh, you're kitted like this for 3
Oh,
days.
you're kitted. Yeah,
Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We took everybody off the ship, so we knew there was no bad guys on the ship
Yeah.
because we inspected the whole ship. But like you're kitted the whole time.
What else was on there? Just random shit.
Bunch of containers and big crane and random shit.
Were these like empty containers or what?
Yeah, they were empty.
So it's just a front.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So yeah, it was crazy.
That is.
That was a
crazy.
cool takedown, though. It
Yeah.
was like a big deal. It was like historic takedown.
The captain wanted that one.
Oh yeah,
He's like, I'm
we
taking
were in
this boat down.
We were in like the Navy Times and all
Oh
that.
really?
Yeah, I mean
that's cool.
The amount of cocaine on that ship was crazy.
Really?
Yeah. So I just remembered another. Actually, I forgot it, but there was another story I had. Well, one of the things that would happen is we would capture these go fast vessels. We would turn them over to host nation. Then a couple weeks later, these same guys would be out there again.
Yeah.
So basically, the cartels are
Running.
in with the nations.
Infiltrated. Yeah. Got something going.
So they
on
got
with them.
all the connections going and all that. But
Yeah.
Anyway, whenever we got back from that deployment, we had to decommission that ship. That was like the second to last frigate in the Navy,
Mhm.
and they were shutting it down. They were selling it to Taiwan.
Oh really?
So we had to do all this stuff to decommission the ship,
Mhm.
which was a lengthy process, especially for communications, because you have a lot of top secret equipment, and there's certain ways you handle this equipment. So I had to figure all that out.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of logistics.
Yeah, a lot of logistics to figure out all that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah.
but my first deployment or my first tour on the Gary, there was times where I didn't like it, as with anything. There was times where I was like, what am I doing here? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I learned a lot. Like I said, my captain was a really good captain. I took a lot away from watching him, paying attention to him, the way that I kind of worked with my guys. I call them my guys because I don't really like calling them my guys. But
Yeah.
with the communications guys, the way that we worked together was, like I said, I was representing them to the officers and the commanding officer, and making sure that we had all of our stuff completed, and I just let them do their thing.
Yeah.
And I think that worked really well. I think they liked that. They respected that. We had a good connection.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever you leave your first tour as an officer, you go to your second tour, you can get a special qualification on your first tour called Engineering Officer of the Watch. It's like an extra qualification you can do.
Mm-hmm.
You're not supposed to get that qualification until you're on your second tour, but if you get it on your first tour, sometimes you're eligible for special jobs on your second tour.
Cool.
So I was like, I wanted a special job.
Yeah.
So I got that qualification on my first tour, which was super difficult for me. It was just the engineering side of the house is on a ship. It's not like engineering in college where you're on paper doing stuff. It's like you're running the power plant for a ship.
Yeah.
Something that's keeping the ship moving through the water, purifying the water, because you suck seawater in
Yeah.
and you purify that for the ship's crew to drink
Oh wow.
and shower with.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's a very important role.
Running the heat, running the AC, running the cooling, running the power. So all that stuff is what the engineering officer of the watch does.
Yeah.
So I had to earn that qualification, which made me eligible for the special billet on my second tour. My first choice was to go to Riverine Squadron, which is basically small boats that operate on rivers.
Right.
I didn't get that. I got my second choice, which was Naval Beach Group.
Yeah.
And Naval Beach Group is basically, it gets super complicated, so I'm going to make it as simple as possible. Naval Beach Group is the Navy command that's responsible for all landing craft that basically move Marines from ships to the shore and then back to ships.
Yeah.
So LCACs, which are landing craft air cushion, which is a hovercraft. It hovers over the water.
Yeah.
6 to 7 feet over the water.
Yeah.
And it can go on land and water. Right? It's just hovering. It's
pretty
crazy.
Cool. Yeah.
Super cool. And then we have LCU's landing craft utility, which is the old school. If you ever saw Saving Private Ryan, it's like that.
Yeah. Where they just have the open top.
Yeah, it's an open top. It's a boat that's riding in the water. The ramp comes down.
It's
like that. And then we also had a bunch of other stuff. We have amphibious combat CBs. We also have something specialized called the MRF Rib Detachment, which is Marine Raid Force. So every Marine MEU detachment that deploys, they have a specialized unit of guys, typically Force Recon guys, that will do specialized boardings.
Yeah.
They'll work with SEALs and all that kind of stuff. So Naval Beach Group has ribs and crews that are trained to drive these guys around and deliver them to certain locations. So I leave the USS Gary. I leave the traditional surface warfare. I get to the specialized billet at Naval Beach Group, and I'm loving it, dude.
Oh, yeah?
I get there. First of all, you go from the traditional Navy base to an amphibious base.
Yeah.
And there's SEALs, there's CBs, there's SWIC, there's Naval Beach Group, there's all these
cool cats.
Specialized billets.
Yeah.
You also get a whole different uniform.
Nice.
You get the expeditionary uniform, which now the whole Navy wears, but back then it was just the specialized units.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh, this is freaking legit.
Yeah, something different, right?
And I show up to the Naval Beach Group, and they tell me, hey, the captain is hardcore. Hardcore.
Shit.
Like, do not play around with this guy.
Damn.
And the captain is like, and when you're on a like a surface ship, your captain generally is like an 05, so technically a commander.
Yeah.
But you still call him the captain of the ship. The dude in charge of Naval Beach Group is a legit captain 06, which is equal to a colonel in the Air Force and Marines and Army. So he's a bigwig, basically.
He's a big deal.
He's right below an admiral.
Yeah.
So they're like, hey, the captain is freaking hardcore. Do not mess around with him. This dude will eat you alive. He's old school.
Damn.
And, like, apparently all the other captains on the base, like, feared him.
Really?
Because he was hardcore.
Dang, dude's got a presence.
Yeah, he's got a presence. His name's Captain Flanagan.
Here we go.
This dude's legit, bro. And so I like the challenge. You know what I'm saying? I like those old school dudes.
Yeah.
And so the first time I ever met him, we were all out on this huge field doing a training exercise. It was like my first time there. I'm in my uniform, and I had to take off my blouse, which is like your overgarment, so you just have your undershirt on. And we were running around carrying ammo cans and rifles and stuff, and he's out there. And he had these green shorts and like just a Naval Beach Group T-shirt on and his hat. And he's like, who the hell is that? He's talking about me. And they're like, oh, it's the new officer.
Yeah.
And I was basically training to be a detachment officer for him to deploy for him with Marines. And so he's like, what's his name? And they're like, Singer. And he's like, Singer, get the hell over here.
Yeah.
And so I'm double timing it over to him, And this was after my deployment on the Gary, which I had gotten pretty big on. I had gotten up to like 215. I was lifting crazy weight. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I get over there. He's like, you look like a dude that can lift some weight.
Oh, God. Here we go.
I was like, yes, sir. And he's like, you're running pretty good out here. I was like, yes, sir. He's like, you're deploying with, he's like, who you deploying with? And I was like, I'm the Box ARG, which is the Boxer Amphibious Readiness Group. I'm the Box ARG OIC. And he's like, all right, well, come to my office tomorrow. I was like, yes, sir. And so I just run back out there. I'm doing my thing.
You thought he was going to get you?
I thought he was going to, like, try to just destroy me. But me and him actually connected because I think he got the vibe that I was kind of, like, liking the hardcore stuff.
Yeah.
Because there was a couple other new officers that went to his office before me, and they came out crying.
Crying?
Legit
Actual?
crying.
Real men?
Because he was legit just destroying them.
Just talking.
Oh, yeah, just shit-talking.
Shit-talking.
Shit-talking. Oh yeah, dude. This dude's hardcore, bro.
Dang.
And if you messed up one, because as a detachment officer in charge at Naval Beach Group,
Yeah.
you got like 150 to 200 sailors you're in charge of. You got like, I had 5 LCACs, which are millions of dollars.
Yeah.
You're
Big boy
responsible
money.
for. Yeah.
Big boy money.
1 LCU, 1 amphibious CB detachment. I had 2 of the Marine Raid Force ribs and their crews.
Yeah.
I was responsible for all
Big
this.
deal.
Big deal.
Yeah.
And you deploy and you leave with the Navy ships and Marines that are deploying. Your captain stays in Coronado, California.
Yeah.
So you're not with them.
Oh, I see.
So you are legit the captain's direct representative
Right.
to the Marines and the Navy guys that you're with.
Gotcha.
And your captain is like where he's at in Coronado running everything else.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a big deal.
Yeah, I got you.
And if you mess up one thing, this dude would eat you alive, bro. I love that shit.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And so he called me in his office, and basically we just had a conversation, and basically we were like good to go with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Other officers are like crying. I'm like, good to go, bro.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. Y'all pussies.
No, I felt bad for him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
dude, this is my deal.
Mhm.
I like having this
You're
level.
like good.
I'm like, I like having this level of like stress. It's not stressful to me, but to other people it's super
Yeah.
stressful.
Accountability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like playing, because I was just an O2 lieutenant junior grade, which is like a low ranking officer.
Yeah.
And I'm like meeting with 06s, 05s,
Big boys.
big boys.
Yeah, big
You know,
dogs.
compared to me.
Yeah.
And I have to be like level headed with these people, because like what they'll do is they'll just use their rank and power to crush you and tell you what to do and make you do what they want you to do.
Yeah.
But you represent your captain, and it's your job to make sure that doesn't happen.
I
And
got you.
I was really good at that.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah,
I'm saying?
yeah, yeah.
Not trying to toot my own horn, but even after that deployment, when I finished, the other 06s that were on that deployment, they're like, hey, you took positional authority to a new level.
Really?
Which basically means even though you're a low ranking officer, you acted as if,
Yeah.
and you're able to work with those that are high ranking. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So to me, I was loving that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I go on that deployment, and the crazy thing is, when I left the Gary, they're like, you're probably going to have a year before you deploy again. I get to Naval Beach Group, they're like, you got like 2 months,
Damn.
and you're deploying again.
Shit.
Because we had someone had an issue, and like, you're going.
Oh, shit.
I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I got to figure this out.
Yeah.
So start training, start figuring out that job. Basically, what happened was my detachment, 5 LCACs, 1 LCU, 2 Marine Raid Force ribs, 1 amphibious CB battalion, or I forgot what they call them, but company, basically. We were all spread across 3 warships, 3 amphibious warships, and I was on the Boxer, which the Boxer was one of the ships that was involved with the Maersk, Alabama capturing. If you remember that, the pirates captured the captain.
Oh, yeah. Captain
SEAL
Phillips
Team
thing.
6, yeah,
Yeah,
Captain
yeah.
Phillips.
Mhm.
The Boxer was one of those ships.
Oh, wow.
So that's the ship I deployed on.
Nice.
And I basically worked with a Marine colonel, 06, who was in charge of all the Marines on all those ships, including the helicopters, the airplane, everything.
Yeah.
Tanks, everything.
He's that guy.
He's the top dog.
Yeah.
And then the Navy captain, 06, who's in charge of all the Navy stuff, all the warships, all things Navy, helicopters, all that stuff. And I'm the guy that's the in-between for these people to help the Marines get from the Navy ships to the shore and back on what we call surface craft, which are or landing craft, which are going to be LCACs or LCUs in general.
Yeah.
But the Boxer is basically what I call a helicopter carrier, because we had Ospreys, we had heavy lift helicopters, we had Harrier jets, which land vertically. They
That's
take
cool.
off like on a runway off the
Yeah.
ship. When they come in and land, they land like a helicopter, which
That's
is crazy.
Cool. Yeah, that's cool.
So anyway, we deploy, and that deployment, crazy, a bunch of different stuff going on. We had special operations units get landed on our ships because they had to go do other stuff that we can't talk about right now.
Classified.
Yeah, still classified.
Classified.
But we just did a bunch of cool stuff. I was loving that job.
Yeah.
Basically, I worked in an office with 2 Marines. One was a at the time he was a master sergeant. Now he's a master gunnery sergeant. Ramiro Hurtado.
Yeah.
Legit dude.
Mm-hmm.
This dude taught me so much, bro. He's a senior NCO, senior non-commissioned officer, so he's enlisted.
Right.
But this dude is down to earth. Taught me so much stuff.
Yeah.
Then we had Captain Heffel, Dustin Heffel. Me and him. At first, I felt like we were clashing a little bit, but then we got into our groove. We were freaking best buddies, dude.
Yeah.
This dude was prior enlisted, became an officer. So us three worked in an office together because they were basically, I was the landing craft guy that gets people to and from different ships. Mm-hmm. They are the, if I can remember, combat cargo guys. So they're in charge of loading my craft. So we have to make sure everything balances out. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But we had a good time, me and those two guys. We did some crazy shit in our office and in port, and just had a good time. Did lots of operations. And then we ended up making a bad call on one operation. We were off the coast of, I don't even remember what I think it was Dubai, actually. Or no, it was Djibouti. Off the coast of Djibouti, which is a country in Africa. Mm-hmm. I think it was Djibouti. I can't remember exactly. Anyway, we're doing LCAC operations, so we're moving Marines to the shore from the ship.
Yeah.
And then we'll pick them up like a month later or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the sea states for there's all, again, with the helicopters and with landing craft and anything naval wise, there's limits to when you can launch and recover assets. And LCACs, they hover over the water. They're hovering about 6 to 7 feet over the water. So if the waves get too high, it poses a risk to the hovering ability. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what we did was, it's called sea state. The sea state started to degrade, which means it started to get bad.
Yeah.
As we're finishing up the operation.
Yeah.
And I think it was at like 5 feet, and 6 feet is the max for an LCAC. Like they can't do 6 feet sea state. So all this stuff's on Google too. It's unclassified. But
yeah.
So
not leaking anything.
Yeah. So we decide to launch one more LCAC, and when we did that, we busted basically the apron, which helps the thing hover. Mm-hmm. So we were able to recover it, and I think we blew an engine too. LCACs have 4 engines; they can run on 3. But anyway, we ended up messing a couple things up. It was not a good scenario. We were not able, because a lot of times when things break, we can fix them on the ship.
Yeah.
This was such a bad scenario that we were not able to do the repairs on the ship. So I had to do all this freaking work to figure out where we could go to fix this LCAC. And basically we ended up, I think it was Kuwait or Oman, one of the two. No, Bahrain. So I figured out that there was a repair facility in Bahrain that we could send the LCAC to, but the sea state had to be low enough where the LCAC could hover on a broken apron, which means it's not going to have its full hovering capability, and with reduced engines. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we had to plan out this whole thing. I had to coordinate everything. Of course, you have to coordinate the money. I had to report back to my captain, who's on the other side of the world, that this happened. And basically he said, you made a bad call doing that last operation, but, looks like you got it figured out, so do what you need to do.
Yeah.
So had to coordinate with the Navy and Marine guys, get everything set up to get the ship that LCAC was on close enough to where we could launch the LCAC. The LCAC would be there for like a month getting repaired, which also was a degradation to us, meaning we didn't have our full landing craft capacities.
Yeah.
So there was this whole ordeal. So figured the whole thing out, got it all taken care of, and, a month later went back, picked it up, back to full operations, you know what I'm saying? So good to go. Mm-hmm. We had several missions with the Marine Raid Force, and then we actually flew a couple SEAL platoons onto our ships to do some maritime raids where basically we're going to take down other ships in the Middle East areas. So we did that for a while, which was super cool. And just a good deployment. The gym on that ship was good, really nice gym.
You know, you got the Marines on there.
So I was lifting with primarily 2 guys. One was Ike Ume, and then the other was Ramiro Hurtado, and those dudes pushed me.
Yeah.
And that was where I got the strongest I've ever been. And I also got up to like 230 pounds body weight, which is the biggest I've ever been.
Yeah.
And we would basically just crush the weights unless we had like watch or something like that. We'd have to skip a couple workouts. But I was working out 7 days a week. Sunday I'd get up before anything would be taking off the flight deck. I could run the flight deck, so I would do that. And then we'd be working out in the gym.
Yeah.
Got the biggest I've ever been. I got so big that I ripped my pants.
Not the first time you ripped your pants either.
I had to order pants and have them shipped to the ship because I had no more pants.
Special order. Sorry, sir. Got too ripped and shredded.
My thighs got so big.
Yeah.
And I was legit doing 1,000-pound leg presses.
Holy cow.
And my thighs got so big that the seams on the inner thighs were ripping.
Yeah. You got a problem with ripping pants. You got a problem. It's not the first time.
I also did my heaviest bench ever on that, which was 405. So I was
Nice.
feeling good.
Yeah.
But I also messed up my knee one time because I was squatting and the ship rocked.
Oh.
And,
really?
messed up my knee.
Dang.
Yeah. But yeah, I had a lot of good times, and that was when I was working out for the first time ever at 4:30 a.m.
Yeah.
Ever up until that point, I had been working out at 5:30 a.m. But on that deployment, because of all my responsibilities, my days were like crazy. So I would get up at 4:30, make sure we got the lift in.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And on that deployment, I was like, I will never, ever wake up at 4:30 ever again
Yeah.
to work out.
Yeah.
I just won't do it.
Right.
And today I'm doing the same thing.
Yeah. What time do you work out now? 3 o'clock a.m.
But on that deployment, I was like, I'm never doing it again. It's too early. But
Yeah.
I got to do it. So
Yeah.
we'd work out. Every time there was chow hall was open, we'd go. We'd crush as much food as we could. We made friends with the cooks.
Yeah.
Because you can only get limited food. So we'd make friends with them and we'd get extra food.
Oh yeah.
I did that on the Gary too.
Required.
Yeah. So anyway, had a good time on that deployment. We came back. And when I came back from that deployment, I had made the decision to get out of the Navy. And the reason was we had some family members that died, so I felt like it'd be better for us to be back home. It was also looking like I was not going to be able to get close to Charleston with the engineering duty officer option, which is what we would be doing. I would be doing after I left Naval Beach Group.
Mm-hmm.
I was loving Naval Beach Group.
Yeah.
I did not really want to go back to a regular ship.
Yeah.
And I also didn't really want to go back to school.
Mm-hmm.
And as an engineering duty officer, one of the things you have to do is get your master's degree.
Oh.
And I was like, I do not want to go
Yeah. Do that route.
and get a degree because I struggled so much.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
So we made the decision to get out of the Navy. I actually made the decision on that deployment.
Yeah.
And some things I was looking into doing, one was harbor pilots. And I thought, hey, I could be a harbor pilot because I was really good at driving warships.
Yeah.
I just have a natural talent for it.
Yeah.
And, I think I could do that for a living.
Yeah.
And then I think, I was also looking at Department of Natural Resources law enforcement officer,
Yeah.
maritime, because I had the boarding team experience. I was like, I could be on a small boat, patrolling the rivers, whatever.
Yeah.
And I have the experience of the boarding team, which is doing the same thing. So that'd be a really good fit. Plus, I like that stuff. So anyway, at the same time, I haven't talked about dogs yet, but before this deployment, me and my wife, Lauren, we got our Doberman Bane.
Yeah.
So during this deployment, she had been emailing me saying that he had started to attack her mom, who she was living with at the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, we got to figure this out. We got to fix this.
Yeah.
So I was like, as soon as I get back from deployment, this is one thing we're going to be fixing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So got back from deployment. The day I got back from deployment, I walked into the house that we were living in San Diego, and Bane was avoiding me. Sarabi was like happy to see me and all that. But you see all the videos on social media of your dog coming back from deployment, getting all happy. That's what I was expecting.
Right.
False expectations.
Yep.
This dude tried to bite me, so I had to pin him up against the wall.
Dang.
With all my strength, holding him on his neck up against the wall, and he's
Trying to bite you? Where you try to get you at your face?
Yeah.
Dang.
And so I was able to grab his neck and then pin him up against the wall, and then he was snarling, snapping, whatever, and then he eventually calmed down, and I was able to let him down, and I was like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
So that started. So that's when I started looking into dog training.
Yeah.
And trying to figure him out. And real quick, jumping back to the Navy, my last couple months in the Navy, basically I was as an assistant. After I finished that deployment as the detachment officer in charge, there was a new detachment OIC that came in and took over that detachment, and I trained them up, and then I became an assistant operations scheduler, which basically means it was like a fluff job that they gave me so that I could have more time to prep to get out of the Navy.
Yeah.
Which I'm really thankful to Naval Beach Group for allowing me to do that, because I was able to I didn't have to work that much for the Navy.
Yeah.
And I was able to focus on my next career.
Yeah.
Which ended up paying out because I started doing dog training on the side.
Yeah.
So I got with a local dog training company in San Diego, said, you know, what was going on with my dog and that I was interested in doing some training. So I started doing training with them, and then I said, hey, is this something that I could do as a career? Because I started to really like it. And the guy's like, yeah, you could definitely do this as a career.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know, you can join my company.
Yeah.
And we'll make a branch out in Charleston whenever you move out there, because it was going to be like 8 months or so before I moved out to Charleston. And you'll just work for us out there. And I was like, that sounds good.
Yeah.
You know?
Perfect. Hey.
And they were like, hey, it's going to be $25,000 to train you to be a dog trainer.
Oh.
Yeah.
What?
And I was like, okay.
All right.
No problem.
Okay. All right.
So I set up a payment plan.
Yeah.
You know, and I was able to make a payment plan. I had to do $5,000 up front. So I had to just dish out $5,000 to start learning how to be a dog trainer, which is not the way that we run it here at Canine Revolution Dog Training for a couple reasons, but I'll get into that later. So, and then we'd be making payments towards the whole $25,000, and you wouldn't get paid until you were like done with that payment plan. You know,
really?
Then you could start getting paid.
Dang. So if it took you years to pay off, you wouldn't get money?
No.
Dang.
So it was good that I was able to do this on the side when I was still in the Navy, because I was able to live off of my Navy pay.
Yeah.
I was working for the Navy for like basically half a day, and then I'd go do dog training for the rest of the day and the rest of the night.
Yeah,
I'd go to sleep. I'd wake up. I'd wake up at 4:30 a.m., which I didn't want to do. Go to the gym. Go to the Navy job. Go to the dog training job until it was time to go to bed.
Yeah.
And that was the cycle.
Yeah.
You know? And so that's kind of how I got into dog training. And that kind of wrapped up my time in the Navy, which I basically did that till I got out of the Navy. And then as soon as the day that I got out, I basically started driving back to Charleston, South Carolina, to move back here. So, You have any questions about the Navy stuff before I jump into the dog training?
It's all,
do you think I covered enough?
Yeah, you covered a lot. Yeah.
I will say Naval Beach Group, you know, you don't really know about it. Most people don't know about it, but super cool job. So if you are in the Navy or you're thinking about going into the Navy, if you like expeditionary work and you can get into an assault craft unit or an amphibious construction battalion unit or Naval Beach Group itself, do it, because it's super cool, you know, especially if you can get into LCACs. And I like LCUs, and my LCU guys out there, I love you guys. Chief Nesbitt, Senior Chief Nesbitt now. Actually, he might be Master Chief at this point.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about landing craft is it's 100% enlisted.
Yeah.
There's no officers that are running those craft. The officers are with the staff or with the ship, kind of overall operations, you know. But the guys actually driving the craft are all enlisted. It's the only place in the Navy that happens.
Yeah.
So an LCAC is manned. They call them they call it flying, because it's hovering.
Right. Yeah. Technically speaking,
the aviators get a little angry at that. But basically, there's a chief petty officer or a senior chief or a master chief. That's the craft master. This is the guy that's actually driving it. Then there's an engineer who's in charge of the engines and the hovering capability. Then there's a navigator and a load master. So you could do any of those jobs. You could be part of an LCAT crew. LCU has some more crew members on it. LCUs can go out and operate by themselves for 10 days. So there'd be times that we would launch our LCU and it'd be out doing its own thing for 10 days. Then it'd come back. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, get away for a while.
Super cool. And the Marine Raid Force ribs, that's all enlisted. There's a chief that runs the ribs, and then it's an enlisted crew. So super cool to get into if you're into that kind of stuff, if you're in the Navy. And I think there are 2 naval beach groups. One's in Coronado, California. One's in Virginia Beach, Virginia.
Yeah.
That area. So
Yeah.
Little Creek, Virginia. So super cool to get into if you guys are into that kind of stuff. Really enjoyed my deployments there. Went all throughout the Middle East, went through a bunch of countries. We were at sea on my last deployment, we were at sea for whatever amount of time it is that you get a beer day underway. And so we were allotted 2 beers each, the whole crew.
Only 2.
Yep, 2 beers each because we had been at sea for X amount of days. But the guy running the beers was my buddy Ramiro Hurtado. So we got the hookup.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Only 2. Right.
So, but yeah, had some good times in the Navy. Met a lot of good guys and girls, right? And did a lot of cool stuff. My first ship, our group of junior officers on the Gary, we were pretty tight. We did some crazy things.
Hell yeah.
And went to a school after leaving the Gary. I went to a school with my buddy Paul Cassani. This dude crazy.
Paul.
Hopefully he listens to this.
Yeah.
But Paul is freaking crazy, boys.
Yeah.
And me and Paul, we go to we're in Rhode Island, and we go out one night for whatever reason, and we're like downtown, whatever area we're in.
Yeah.
Newport News, I think, or something. And because we're at this Navy school out there, and we're just grabbing some steaks.
Yeah.
And then Paul's like, "Hey, let's run the bars."
Oh God.
I'm like, "All right." And he's like, "Red Bull and vodka only."
Oh my God.
So we go to each bar in this area.
Oh, bar run, boys.
Every bar we go to, we get a Red Bull and vodka, and we just going hammer loud. We're crazy. We go into this nice bar.
Yeah.
This nice like
You
wine.
guys showed
Exactly. You're getting all these looks.
Yeah. Oh, let me get a Red Bull and vodka. Slamming shit around.
Typical
spilling
Navy
drinks.
guys.
Yeah. Here come the Navy guys.
So anyway, had a good time in the Navy. One thing I forgot to talk about at the Citadel and the Navy is like the leadership. Paying attention to the leaders that were around me, and then trying to take lessons about who I thought was having good aspects of leadership and who was having not so good aspects of leadership. So that's something I was trying to pay attention to. And also one more story from my deployment with the Marines. When I was around my Navy guys, I was super chill.
Yeah.
Super chill. I'd be calling them bro, buddy,
Yeah.
this and that. Not really formal,
Yeah.
Get around the Marines, and I decide to call a Marine 04, which is a major, and I'm just an 02 lieutenant junior grade. I decide to call him bro, and I say, "Hey, bro, what was that thing you were?" And he lit me up. "What you just called me?" "In the Marine Corps, that's a sir."
Oh.
This dude went ham.
Yes, sir.
In front of a bunch of people, too. And that really pissed me off.
Oh,
Like,
he wanted to do it
Oh,
too.
yeah,
Yeah.
he was like one of those dudes with a stick up his,
Yeah.
Because there was a bunch of Marines I'd be calling bro, and they're like, "Yeah, we're good to go," you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
But he was just something else. And so anyway, that's definitely locked in my brain.
I feel like that's the 50-50 split in the military.
Yeah.
You got people who are like, all right, like, everything doesn't have to be so black and white, but
Right.
then there's the other guys who are hardcore.
Oh, yeah. So, anyway, got into the dog training. I already talked a little bit about starting with this company, was learning from them. They were super old school, so there was no food rewards being used. You know what I'm saying? Which I thought food rewards, you shouldn't be using food rewards because they were telling me not to use them. And the one thing we struggled with was Bane. We could never really figure out why he was reacting or, trying to, essentially what he was doing was correcting me and Lauren and other people around us. He did not like being touched. He did not like people walking up to him. If somebody stopped and looked at him and said, "Hey, buddy," a stranger, or smiled at him, he would lunge at them and snarl and snap at them and all this stuff. So these trainers could never figure out why he was doing that. And they ended up saying, he's just always going to be like that. You're going to have to put a vest on him that says, "I bite," so that people know he bites and to stay away from him.
Mm-hmm.
And you also need to teach him to hold things in his mouth so that he can't bite people. So we started doing the old school force retrieval, which basically you're forcing a dog to hold something, which makes a dog not like to hold things.
Yeah.
If you do it the wrong way.
Yeah.
I was never taught learning theory, which is the theory of how canines learn, you know? Never taught classical conditioning, never taught operant conditioning, just taught this is the way you do things.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what's going on, this is the way you do things.
Yeah.
So after a while, it started, that training method started to not sit right with me, you know? Just the way that some of the dogs were, like some dogs were fine, and there's other dogs that it was creating issues with them,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And it just didn't start sitting right with me. And the fact that we could never figure out Bane didn't sit right with me, because, like, if you're a dog trainer, aren't you supposed to be able to train this dog?
Yeah.
Or change this dog, you know?
Yeah.
And so they also told me, if you use food rewards, it's weak. Don't play tug with your dog, you know, all this kind of stuff. And so I'm on YouTube searching how to get your dog to stop lunging at you or something like that, to try and figure out Bane, you know what I'm saying? And I stumbled upon this guy called Michael Ellis. And, you know, I'm watching him with his dogs. He's playing tug. He's explaining why he's playing tug. He's using food. And I'm like, dude, this makes sense.
Yeah.
I watched he has a full lecture on YouTube about operant conditioning and his training philosophy and all that. I'm like, this makes total sense.
Yeah.
So what I did was I signed up for all of Michael Ellis's, because he has online courses you can take, signed up for all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Started doing them all on the side secretly, because I knew that if the company that I worked for knew that I was watching his stuff, they would be upset.
Yeah.
And tell me that it's not, it's wrong. It's
Yeah.
wrong. It's
Yeah.
wrong. But I'm like, well, why is his dogs happy and doing the stuff that I want to do with my dogs, and why is my dog trying to get me?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Doesn't
Yeah.
make sense. So I started to take what I was learning from Michael Ellis and incorporate it to Bane, and it was working. He was making a change, and I was like, this is it, dude. This is the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I tried to one day approach the trainer at the company that I was working for and explain, and they immediately shut me down. You don't, no,
Yeah.
no food, no tug, no. Doesn't make sense. This is how you do it. This is the way to do it. And so at that point, I was like, we're done. This has got to be done. So I left that company, and that was a very bad separation of ways.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
It was
saying?
a bad breakup.
Bad breakup.
Yeah. We've all had those bad breakups.
Because they did invest a lot of time into me, but then again, I paid them for that.
Yeah, true.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so anyway, very bad separation. And so I kept learning from Michael Ellis, kept starting to learn things. And then I started looking for other companies to work for in Charleston, because I was about 1 to 2 months away from moving back. So I was coming back.
Yeah.
And now I didn't have a plan.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? My
Kinda.
plan was gone.
Yeah, it kind of fell apart. Yeah. Had to start figuring out what to do.
Because this company was supposed to start up a new, basically, franchise here for me.
Yeah, yeah.
So had to figure out a whole plan. And eventually turned into my wife Lauren saying, you could run a business better than anybody else. You just need to start up your own business. And I was like, I do not want to start up my own business. I do not want that on my plate.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to train dogs. I don't want to worry about any of that other stuff.
Yeah.
And she said, you know, basically you have to, because nobody else is going to do what you want to do.
Yeah.
And everybody else is going to, because I'd be looking at other companies and I could watch their videos and could tell, oh, they're doing the old school style of training. I don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So because I knew what I was looking at, they wouldn't be showing that stuff on the videos.
Yeah.
But I could look at the dogs and I could look at their stuff and I'd be like, that's what they're doing. You
Their
know?
body language.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Body language and just like 2-week programs. I'm like, I know what a 2-week program is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so anyway, I was like, all right, screw it, let's do it. So then we had to come up with a company name. Long story short, we came up with Canine Revolution Dog Training. Some people we were talking to about it said, don't do that, it's an aggressive name. And I was like, screw it, you know?
Yeah.
Worked with you to get a logo put together, got a logo put together, and then we opened up the Facebook page for it a couple weeks before I was moving back to try and get some content out there so people knew I was going to be in the area. And as soon as I did, the old company I was working for put a bunch of fake reviews. They had everybody they knew posting fake, crazy reviews on there, so I had to immediately shut it down.
Yeah.
And then I had to text the old owner of that business and say, hey, you know, you got people harassing me, not cool, blah, blah, blah. They said, never contact us again. This is nothing to do with us. I'm like, this is stupid.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's that's childish, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like they're holding a grudge against you for nothing. You know?
I'm like, I'm moving across the country.
And
you know
you paid them.
And I paid them.
And they're trying to destroy you.
Yeah.
You know.
So anyway, got over that and started up another Facebook page and got the socials going, and there was no issues at that point.
Yeah.
And I guess the guy had to end up saying to the people, like, stop.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
I mean, he's a reasonable guy, so he may not have known that's what they were doing. But he must have told him to stop. So anyway, move back here, start training dogs. I got one dog in, and it was slow going.
Yeah.
You know, didn't have a lot of dogs coming in, wasn't making any money.
Yeah.
You know, trying to figure out how to start a business, trying to figure out how to run a business, trying to figure out how to be in compliance as a business while trying to get dogs to train.
Yeah.
And, you know, super slow. And basically, I had 6 months worth of living expenses saved up. We burnt through all that trying to survive and get the business going. And there was a time when I was like, I don't know if I can do this.
Yeah.
But then I remember after Christmas, the first year, we started getting serious business.
So that first year, though, you had how many dogs?
It was about 4 months.
4 months and one dog?
Where it was like just a couple dogs.
Yeah.
And some of them were like just freebies.
Yeah.
Or
Just
super discounted just to
do it to get the name out there.
Just to get people in there, just to get the name out there.
Yeah.
And so then we started getting that regular business, so that was good. You know, we started building, and then it started getting crazy. Then it started getting wild. And also,
what started happening?
like, not able to handle the work.
You got a lot of requests for training.
A lot of requests for training, a lot of requests for consultation, a lot of messages all the time. I can't handle it all.
Yeah.
I can't do everything.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Because it's just you, right?
It's just me.
Yeah.
And we had our first kid, Addison. You know, she was born, so we had that going on.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out business stuff. Also, I was trying to figure out how to get a business name out there. So literally, I was advertising everywhere. I was paying Better Business Bureau. A lot of people don't know that the Better Business Bureau, you have to pay them
to be a part of the program.
to be a part of the accreditation or whatever.
Yeah.
If you don't pay them, you're not accredited. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Just to get the fucking logo slapped
If you pay
on
them, you get the BBB accredited.
Yeah, the triple B. Yeah.
BS.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
BS. The triple B is BS.
So I was doing that. I was doing every newspaper, every magnet company, every whatever.
Little TV screens in the local restaurant.
I'm paying all this money.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this stuff ain't working. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I started to realize that it ain't working.
Mm.
So I stopped it all. And then the one thing that was working at that time was a company called Thumbtack.
Mm.
Basically an app. People can look for dog training. You can respond on the app. So that's how we started getting some business going. And I'm just basically just my whole day. I wake up, go to the gym early, like I didn't want to ever.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because that's the time I had to go to the gym.
Yeah.
Take care of the dogs, feed them, water them, exercise them, train. I'm doing everything.
You're spending all day with them.
All day with them.
Yeah.
Then catching up on messages, this message, that, crazy, all day. Then 9 p.m. you're done for the day. Put all the dogs in their kennels, and then you go to your bed. You wake up the next day, same thing.
Yeah. Very, packed day.
Yeah.
You go to bed, you sleep, you wake up, packed day.
Well,
again.
sometimes you wake up in the middle of the night because the dog has thrown up everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
And you smell it.
Ugh. Or a blowout,
or poop everywhere.
Diarrhea, something.
Diarrhea everywhere. You clean it. You know what I'm saying?
Or your little scratching on the wall.
scratching on the
Little
wall.
JoJo's.
Ben's dog JoJo. I took her in. She was a dog that didn't have a home, so I took her in to train her to hopefully get her adopted. And she scratched a huge hole in the wall, stuck her arm right through the kennel all night, and dug a hole in the wall.
And you didn't own the home? It was a rental.
It was a rental.
And
yeah.
you carved a big old hole in the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out to this day she's still a mischievous little girl.
I patched that hole. So anyway, did all that, and the business kind of got super crazy. So I was like, I got to figure out how to grow this thing, how to expand this thing, because it's not sustainable for one person to do all this forever.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So I was like, first thing I got to figure out is we got so much business coming in, I probably need to find another trainer.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, I was trying to talk Chris into leaving law enforcement.
Yeah.
You know, to train with me because I was working with him and his dog on the side. So had many meetings with Chris and his wife Kelly, talking about finances, what the finances would look like, talk about what the work would look like, blah, 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 blah. So Chris came on board and trained him up. And in his training, there was struggle. I was struggling as an instructor.
Yeah.
And I think he was struggling as a learner.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I didn't really know how to teach at that point. And I just kind of had these expectations that, hey, what are you doing? This is what you do, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm glad that he stuck with it, because there was times where he could have just thrown in the towel and said, this is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And there was ridiculous parts to it.
Yeah.
Because, again, I was trying to figure out how to be an instructor and run a business and operate and
be
take
a
care of
husband.
dogs. And, the family on the side, too.
Family on the side, yeah.
So then we started training, or then we hired, I think maybe you were we hired a couple guys to help take out dogs. At the time we called them kennel caretakers.
Yeah.
And they would come in the morning, help us feed the dogs and take them out. Then they would come in the evening, help feed the dogs, take them out. And then we hired you to start doing some production stuff. And then we just kind of grew from there. And we formed a apprenticeship program to train new trainers. And we had a couple people start that, and then they figured out, I don't really want to be a dog trainer because some of these dogs are hard to work with. They're not all fluffy and nice.
Yeah.
And then Kevin reached out to me and was talking to me about being a trainer. I said, hey, let's have you come over. So he came over, showed him everything, and he said, I want to do it. So then Kevin went through. I was trying to, again, figure out the apprenticeship process at that point. I also took a short break and went to the Michael Ellis School myself. So I flew out to California and did some courses with Michael Ellis face-to-face instead of just online.
Yeah.
Came back, still trying to figure the business out. You know, trying to figure out how to make everything run. We got you doing production stuff. We got Kevin trying to be an apprentice. We got Chris training. You know, he's pretty much good to go at that point.
Yeah.
And we just kept expanding. And this whole time we're operating in a rental house in a neighborhood.
Yeah.
And now it's starting to get to the point there's lots of dogs.
A lot of dogs, a lot of noise.
There's lots of noise.
Yeah.
And thank God Scott and Dave are good to go as the neighbors.
Yeah.
Because they could have been super upset.
Neighbors on both
with
sides.
all that noise and dog poop coming through there.
Oh, man. A lot of traffic, too.
Yeah.
A lot of people walking,
a lot
people
of dogs
visiting.
walking and people visiting.
We were starting to fill that cul-de-sac up with cars.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, we were like, we got to move out of here. We got to have our own place. We got to have open space. So we were like, we need a property.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So anyway, long story short, we were able to find a property that's just 30 minutes outside of the Somerville area. So it is a little bit of a drive, but for us, it's not that bad. And for us, it's good to be out here because it's good for the dogs to learn the foundation in a calmer area, then go into the city and the town and the social areas to learn that stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they already got the basics down.
So we kind of grew out here and then continuing to develop, continuing to learn. But just wanted to talk real quick about, kind of our setup. I talked about when I started the business, it was me. You know what I'm saying? Waking up, taking the dogs out, training them, exercising them, feeding them, watering them. The day's gone fast.
It flies by, bro.
There's messages, there's emails, there's texts, there's phone calls. It's extremely difficult to run that business model as one person. So that's when I had to start thinking outside the box. And I think there's some other businesses around the country that are doing something similar to what we do now. But basically, we have a staff, we have trainers, and they are responsible for the actual training of the dog and then the training of the people. You know what I'm saying? The dog's owners.
That's the hard part.
That's the hard part. Then we have what we call training assistants, which are responsible for feeding, watering, exercise, training, maintenance, just kind of daily, what we call kennel operations, which are all the things that go in and out throughout the day in a kennel setting, right?
Yeah.
And that kind of splits up the responsibilities, because the trainers, if they're doing all this stuff, it's not going to give that dog what they need throughout the day. But if you have multiple people doing it throughout the day, it's giving the dog the best thing or the best experience possible, and it's kind of spreading out the responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the reasons why Canine Revolution Dog Training is set up as a superior, premier board and train training program versus another training company that's one or two people doing it, because they're getting burnt out and they're not able to keep up the pace with what these dogs need, especially when you're dealing with some challenging dogs.
Yeah.
Dogs that if you make a wrong move, they'll be all over you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So spreading out the responsibilities helps with that. Also, we have Ben running the production and the socials, basically.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that helps, because if you don't have that, then you're trying to do that yourself too. And then we have Dawn right now as our admin, and she's doing a great job, and she's coordinating with people every day, texting, calling, emailing, getting the contracts, setting up reservations and all that kind of stuff. And, that just takes a lot of time back and forth too, and she does a superior job at that. So setting up different responsibilities. Something else we did overall recently is we created a new position, operations assistant, which is helping to manage the kennel and training assistant schedules and all that kind of stuff. And Ashley's our operations assistant, and she does a great job with that too. You know what I'm saying? So separating the responsibilities, everybody having, a different thing that they're focused on, gives the dog the best experience possible, gives the owners the best experience possible, and it makes us superior to other board and train programs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like I said, I think there are other companies across the country that has something like this set up going on, but it's super hard to keep this thing going.
Yeah.
Because we might have a training assistant that decides to leave, or another position that decides to leave, and that's fine. We can cover down, but then we have to fill that position, train that position. Also, the payroll costs are more expensive than if you're just doing it yourself. So a lot of people don't want to pay the money for that. You're paying higher taxes. You have different types of insurance you have to. So the problem of operating a larger business, and it's still a small business, it's not a large business, but, managing and operating 21 people instead of 1 to 2 people, it's a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
A lot of logistics to go along.
A lot of
with
logistics, a lot of challenges. So,
yeah.
I think that's what makes us better than most board and trains and makes us superior. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The other thing that makes us superior is our training philosophy. And this is kind of adjusted as time has gone on, and we've learned more, and we're always learning. But the foundation of what we do is based on the Michael Ellis training philosophy. But basically, what we do is we build up a foundation with the dog through engagement and through food rewards. And then once that foundation of training is built and developed, then we start to fade away or take away the food rewards and teach that dog that, hey, even though there's no actual food present, we still have to do these behaviors. And then on top of that, we teach them about corrections or accountability if behaviors are disobeyed. And then we generalize that and socialize the dogs so they know that no matter where they go or what's going on around them, those behaviors are still expected.
Yeah.
So that is a very basic understanding of our philosophy, and maybe I'll go into more detail in a future podcast, you know. But again, the most important piece is that foundation. If you don't have a proper foundation set, you're not going to be able to go forward from there. If you don't have engagement set, true engagement where the dog wants to learn from you, wants to be with you, you're not going to be able to teach it properly as you progress. You know what I'm saying? And then we also have another philosophy for training the owners, trying to baby step it for them to keep it as simple as possible so they can be as successful as possible at home too.
Yeah.
Because dogs are living, breathing beings. You know what I'm saying? So every day could be different, and they're not all going to respond the same, you know? And they might be perfect for one owner, and the other owner may be struggling. So what are the differences? What's going on? Well, that's something that we have to troubleshoot and figure out, and that's something that our team is specialized in training and doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So over time, we've adjusted things. We're always adapting. We're always adjusting. We're always trying to get better, stronger as a team.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. More efficient, right? Safer. One thing I always tell our whole team when we do team trainings or whenever I'm meeting with people individually, you got to have the dog's best interest in mind. You know, so if you're out with a dog, you got to have that dog's best interest in mind. Are you doing something that has that dog's best interest in mind or not? You got to have your teammates' best interest in mind. So if you're on shift with 2 other people, right? Are you doing things that has their best interest in mind? Do you have the dog owner's best interest in mind? That dog is here to train, to learn, to be rehabilitated, right? To develop. Are we doing everything possible to get that dog on to the path of success, right? Mm-hmm. And help it going forward, right?
Yeah.
And do we have our whole team's best interest in mind? So are we acting and behaving respectfully, professionally, right? Completing the mission. So
yeah,
that is what I tell everybody, you know what I'm saying? That's something that we have to constantly be reminded of, and just understand that every situation is different. Every dog is different. Something that works for one dog may not work for another. So that's why our trainers go through an extensive apprenticeship process where phase by phase, piece by piece, they are taught how to train dogs, how to handle different situations, how to train people, how to read people, how to adjust to people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
So like the apprenticeship process starts out with just learning our basic kennel operations from a training assistant perspective. So the apprentice is going to work as a training assistant to learn those types of operations and those responsibilities, which is the foundation for training.
Yeah.
Just like with the dog, if we can't proceed into more advanced or precise training, we can't do that without having a foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And a trainer can't do that without having a foundation of our operation as well.
Yeah.
After that, they learn basically fundamentals of training. So they're going to be learning theory, operant conditioning, classical conditioning, things that I was not taught when I originally went through a program with the training company, right?
Yeah.
These are things that I had to discover on my own. Thankfully, Michael Ellis has opportunities for you to learn those, and he goes through them in all of his courses, you know? And then we learn body language. We learn, personality traits. And then we start training dogs. Then we start training people. And it's not the level, the superior level and premier level of training that we provide is not for everybody. We've had a lot of people come through that want to be a dog trainer, that think they want to be a dog trainer, and they don't end up making it through the apprenticeship process, and they're all good people. You know, some of them don't like me anymore, you know, that's just the way it is. But we have a standard that we have to keep and meet. And when a client comes to Canine Revolution Dog Training and signs up with us and goes through our training programs, we have a standard of quality that we have to meet.
Yeah.
And we're going to be with that person for life to make sure that them and their dog are set up for success and are going to be successful as long as they're willing to follow the protocols and put in the work that they need to put in. Because we're going to put in our work.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so there are people that come through and they think they want to be a trainer, but they don't end up making it a certification because maybe the level of dogs that we're training is too intense. When you've got a super reactive dog, that weighs on you. You know what I'm saying? You're responsible for that dog.
Yeah. Plus the other dogs with other personalities.
Right.
Right? You could have one dog that's, hey, this dog's a little bit reactive to other dogs, like maybe attacking other dogs or won't pay attention to anything else when they see another dog or a person or whatever. And then you got this other dog in the kennel right now, super scared of everything. Totally different, totally different personality switch up. So then you got to switch up your mindset.
You have to switch up your mindset. You have to switch up your training style.
And you have to do it very quickly because you're swapping one dog. You're taking one dog in after training. You're taking the next dog out. But you have to adapt that fast.
Also, time management.
Yeah.
So it's not just about training dogs, but can you manage the time you have? Can you be efficient?
Yeah.
Can you manage that time to get the job completed with the dog's best interest in mind, with your teammates' best interest in mind, with the dog owner's best interest in mind?
Yeah.
With our overall team's best interest in mind.
Yeah, like, are you going to put the hours in if the dog is maybe struggling one day? Are you going to stay all day until you get some good reps in with that dog? You know what I'm saying? Or are you going to throw the towel in early? Well, this dog ain't working with me today. I guess I'm going to go home.
Right.
Like, that's not.
There's so many factors that go into every different case, so that sometimes shuts some people down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But also there have been people that want to be dog trainers. Well, we tell them, hey, this is the end of the road right here. We're going to have to cut you off because maybe there's bad decision making. Maybe there's liability issues. Maybe there's other things, right? Mm-hmm. But what we are going to do if you're an apprentice is try our best to train you to be able to perform your duties, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do everything we can.
Yeah.
We're going to put in extra time to train you. But you've also got to be putting in everything you got too. Mm-hmm. And the apprenticeship is, generally going to be more work than when you're certified because there's a learning curve we got to get through. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you definitely got to put the time in.
But once we get there, we're good to go.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's like running up a hill.
Yeah.
Once you get to the top of that hill, once you pass that level, once you finish grinding, the grind never stops. But once you get to that pinnacle point, the rest is downhill, easy to go because you already know what to expect.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But the learning never stops either. So one of the things we do is continued development for all of our trainers, and I'm not trying to say I'm a master or whatever, but I'm learning too. I got a lot of stuff to learn. Yeah. There's a lot of dogs that I train even today. I'm obviously still training, and they're teaching me things still. Yeah. And I'm learning new things, and I'm ready to develop and ready to get after it. Yeah. I'm learning things from how to run a business. I'm learning things from how to advertise as a business, because again, things get challenging. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? There's competition out there. So you must adapt and adjust what you're doing.
It's not just dog training, right?
Right.
You got to grow the business. You got mouths to feed. You got people you got to pay. People are relying on you as a business owner.
That's another thing that makes Canine Revolution superior is because of our separate responsibilities. The trainers here, they get to focus on training and customers and that kind of thing. They don't have to worry about business. Yeah. That's my responsibility. Yeah. Now, I will get their input. I will get anybody's input. You know what I'm saying? I'll ask, hey, trainers, this is something I'm thinking about. What do you think? Mm-hmm. Hey, Ben, this is something I'm thinking about. What do you think? Yeah. Hey, Don, this is something I'm thinking about. What do you think? Right? Ashley, everybody. Because the team needs to have input on things, but in the end, there have to be certain business decisions that are made for the business, and those rest on me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But talking about running a business, it's super challenging, especially with a dog business. And anybody that's out there running a dog business or a boarding kennel, because those are big, there's boarding kennels everywhere. Yeah. Dogs are on all the time. You can't turn them off like you can a lawnmower if you run a lawn business. You know what I'm saying? Yep. They got to poop. They got to pee. They got to eat. They got to be cleaned, right? They got to have exercise. They got to have training. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe they throw up in their kennel.
Yeah.
You got to deal with that now.
Got to clean it up. So that's one of the challenges is, with a dog business where you have dogs on site, they're there 24/7, 365. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So you got to have manpower to be able to handle that. And that gets expensive from a budgeting perspective. I'm not saying that as a bad thing. It's a good thing, right? It's a good thing to have good manpower, right? But you got to balance a budget as a dog business owner, right? Mm-hmm. You got to balance your payroll. You got to plan out your growth. You know what I'm saying? You got to pay your people as best as you can, but not overdo it. I've done that before. You know what I'm saying? And my business advisors, like my accountant and other business advisors, like, hey, you might be paying a little bit too much. It's like, well, these people are getting after it. Yeah. So they deserve the pay. The business might not be making as much of a profit, but to me, it's worth it to try and pay them as best as possible, Mm-hmm. So sometimes that comes and goes, and you learn as you go through there. You also got to make decisions sometimes. That might be a difficult decision. One of the hardest things to do as a business owner is making a decision if you have to let somebody go. Yeah. That's a super hard decision. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I've had to do it, and it's never a enjoyable thing to do. And, it causes anxiety and stress, but it's one of those things that has to be done. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And you have to hold your standard. But with that being said, have you done everything possible to try and help that person, to try and train that person? You know what I'm saying? So that's something you have to consider. And one of the things I'll say is, everybody knows I like Jocko, right? Yeah. But when I started this business in 2017, I stumbled upon his podcast, browsing podcast one day, and he had just recently started up his podcast, I believe. And a lot of what he was teaching on his podcast resonated with me as a new business owner and someone that was trying to lead dog owners and lead employees. And I've not made every decision the best, right? I've not treated everybody the best, but I'm trying to learn, and I think that I have developed over time. But Jocko has helped me with a lot of things, and again, with his kind of mantra of extreme ownership, have I done everything to the best of my ability to try and help this person, or am I just taking the easy road and letting them go? Yeah. Right? In those scenarios where that has to be done. Right. I'm trying to do everything I can to maximize what someone might be doing, or training them to the best of my ability, or setting them up for the most success as much as possible. I might be burning myself out trying to do it. I'm trying to give everything I got before I have to make that call. And the people that I've had to do that to, they might not see it from that perspective, but I've literally done everything I can to try and get to that, make sure I've done everything I can to help them before I have to make that call. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But there are times where I might have reacted to a scenario more intensely than I should have. And that another concept that Jocko teaches, detaching, stepping back before you react to something, is something that I've tried to hone in on in the past year or so, and I think I've got it pretty good now. But it used to be where if something, it's not an emergency, I don't need to step in right then and there. But if I see something that isn't right, I would jump right on that person, kind of the old school mentality. Yeah. And I think I've done a pretty good job of stepping back, detaching, coming back later to address that if it needs to be addressed, or if it's not that big of a deal, maybe it's okay to let it go this time. Right. But if it is a safety scenario or a danger scenario, I'm going to step in right then and there. Yeah. And sometimes I might come in a little intense. My personality tends to be a little bit intense overall. I'm trying to tune that back and have that calm, confident, relaxed demeanor at all times. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So we're all humans. We're not perfect. So if you're listening to this, your boss is not perfect, right? Your business partner is not perfect. Your employees are not. None of us are perfect. But can we try to work together and help each other to get to where we need to go? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, absolutely. Kind of my thoughts on that, But running a business, super difficult. Managing people, super difficult. Jocko's message has really resonated to me. I know other people have other influencers or leaders out there that they listen to or pay attention to. Maybe someone's listening to this and we're able to help them. That's kind of one of our goals, is to be able to help people.
Right.
So
Yeah.
just one of the things, and I think that's the good thing about social media, is that it allows you to listen or receive information from someone like Jocko to me, and I don't want to keep talking about Jocko. There's other people too, but you know, people that you can listen to that you would otherwise not be able to be connected to.
Yeah.
You know, if there was no social media, no podcast, I would never hear Jocko's message, and it would never help me to continue to push myself to develop.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Someone else, another influencer, and you're going to laugh at this one, Seth Furiosi.
Yeah.
Bodybuilder guy.
Yeah.
I like his workouts. I don't really do them that much anymore, but one thing he says is that you don't have problems. You only have work to do.
Yeah.
And that resonated with me. You think you have a problem? You don't really have a problem. You have more work to do, right? If there's something going on where you mismanaged your budget from a business perspective, that's not a problem. Let's find a workaround. Let's find work. You know, we got to find work to help make this right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We got a dog that's not on the program because it's struggling. That's not a problem. That just means we got more work to do to solve this problem.
Yeah.
So Seth Furiosi's message from that perspective really resonated with me. And there's a bunch of other influencers that I follow from different aspects of life that help to resonate with me. But you would not be able to get that information, you know, otherwise. You know? So a couple of them that I listen to, in case anyone's wondering, obviously Jocko for business and leadership. You know, he kind of stands out to me with that. We got Patrick Bet-David with Valuetainment. You know, he's when I was starting out trying to figure out business, he's got a ton of videos about entrepreneurship. So that kind of helped me start thinking on a different level, you know. Seth Furiosi from the workout perspective, but also just the mentality of not having problems, but just having work to do to solve problems.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Lane Norton for nutrition, you know. Peter Attia for longevity, you know. All these types of people. Juji Mufu.
Oh, yeah.
Flexibility.
Oh, yeah.
Strength. Power.
Funny guy.
Funny guy.
Knows what he's talking about.
Good
though.
information.
Knows what he's talking about.
Good information. You know what I'm saying? So just a couple people that I pay attention to. NFQ.
Yeah.
Good
company.
Good motivation to keep the press on. You know
Shout out to Tyler Watkins.
You know. So anyway, just a couple people I pay attention to. You might want to look them up. Maybe not. I usually follow their content on Instagram. But again, just stuff to keep your mind right. You know what I'm saying? You want to keep your mind right. If you follow people or you pay attention to people that are at a level that you want to achieve, or at a level where you can help to push you further versus drag you down. You know what I'm saying? I think that will help you get on the road, on the path. You got to keep the stuff in your head, because if you just leave yourself to your own human nature, you're going to want to go to the easiest path possible, which is not the path you need to be taking all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, man. Yeah.
Also being around you guys, you know, talking about our team. I just want to take a second to thank every single member of our team, even past members of our team, for what they've done for the Revolution. You know what I'm saying? First of all, Lauren, you know, my wife, she's the one that told me to start a business, and she's been with me, dealing with me, doing this stuff nonstop since we started.
All the barking dogs and all that.
Barking dogs, but there's been times where she has said, you know, like, hey, you're working too much.
Yeah.
She's had to reel me in.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I've tried to reel in sometimes. Sometimes they get a little crazy.
The motor going, you know? Yeah.
And then, you know, Chris, you know, he's obviously grew up with him. We talked about some of our stories together on his episode. But, you know, he pushes me, challenges me. If I'm like, oh, well, maybe... Well, I'm the one that gets up early. We know Chris sleeps in these days.
He's got a newborn, boys. Give him a break.
But, you know, there's been times where I'm like, well, I might not do this or that. But I'm like, hey, Chris is out there doing it, so I got to go do it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or you know, pushing on the, you know, me and you have developed a lot with our current goals and our current business situation. But a lot of whenever we were starting the socials and all that,
Yeah.
we were working together. Now it's just you taking it all off.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Leading the charge, pushing us, developing us. You know, Kevin pushing it, developing us, having that really good customer communication.
Oh, yeah.
I know it's hard for him sometimes.
He's a specialist, boys.
He's a specialist, and
He's
also
the coldest stone-faced guy in our company, and he's the client specialist.
People love talking to Kevin. And he'll stand there with his glasses on. If you know Kevin, you know his glasses, but he'll stand there and not look happy, and people will walk past me and Chris to go straight to Kevin. You know, to talk to him.
We still haven't figured it out yet.
And also just challenging our mentalities. You know what I'm saying? We got Lexi, who's a badass dog trainer, you know, and she's the most recent one to go through our apprenticeship, but it's been almost over a year of her being a fully certified dog trainer, and she's just getting after it every freaking day, you know, sun up to sundown, ready to rock and roll, handling people, handling their dogs, you know, taking care of business. You're like, good to go, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then we have Don, who's our admin, good to go.
Oh, yeah.
Crushing it. Following up, getting client communications done, getting the contracts in, getting the phone calls done. She pushed to get on the phone calls. You know, we were like, hey, maybe adding the phone to your responsibilities is too much. She's like, nope, I want it. You know, so she's pushing the limit.
Go get her.
Getting things done. Go get her. You know what I'm saying? And she has a background, too, of service.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Her family. Not going to go into details on that. But then we have Ashley, who's our operations assistant. Again, running the kennel operations, definitely managing that, managing our inventory, you know, training up our new training assistants, and also doing reoccurring training and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So she gets after it all the time too, and she's ready to put in the extra hours if needed. Yeah. You know?
Crushing it.
Then we have a bunch of training assistants. You know, I'm not going to name them all out, but the ones that have been here the longest, you know, Keegan, Emily, you know what I'm saying? We had Sarah, who just left recently, right? But, you know, they've been here for a while. And the reason why Sarah left is because her husband her significant other got stationed somewhere else. He's in the Navy.
Yeah.
You know, we got Cassidy, her husband's getting transferred, so she's departing soon. But we have a number of new training assistants in training. We've got a number of them that have been around for a while, getting after it, doing the hard work. You know, there was a time when I think it was during COVID, when we were undermanned.
Yeah.
And everybody, you, Kelly,
Yep.
Lauren, Chris,
we're all
Kevin,
pulling shifts.
Ashley, Keegan, Emily, Sarah, pulling long hours to take care of the dogs.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's a team mindset.
Shout out to the whole team. Shout out to everybody at Canine Revolution, whether you're on staff, right, as a team member, whether you've been a team member before, or whether you're an alumni.
Supporter.
Whether you're a future alumni, you're waiting for your training spot.
Could just watch the videos.
Or if you're just a supporter listening to the podcast or watching our YouTube videos, we hope that this content helps you. And we're honored to have the support base that we have.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And we made the decision earlier this year to kind of separate the podcast from the rest of the Canine Revolution stuff, because it was kind of just going a little out of control.
Yeah, it got a little too uncategorized.
It got uncategorized from just strictly dog training, which we're reeling it back in to do more dog training topics, but we've covered a large variety of topics. Shout out to all the special guests that we've had.
Yep. Been able to meet a lot of cool people.
A lot of cool people we've had the opportunity to learn from and listen to and talk to. And we have more people lined up, you know, and being a veteran myself, it's very important to me to continue to talk to veterans and get veteran stories out there. Yeah. And talk to people that I think will help us and help other people, such as people in the fitness industry. You know, we had Heather, two Heathers.
Yeah, two Heathers.
Black, Heather Foss.
Yep.
You know, Tyler Watkins, CrossFit athlete, NFQ athlete, Mark McGirt, you know, owner of McGirt Strength. Yeah. You know, that dude's legit. Yep. And they're all legit.
They're all, every single one of them.
Doc Anthony, who's a chiropractor, but also a CWP and defensive pistol instructor. We talked about on one of our podcasts mass shootings and why they happen. Yeah. Case studies. That was 4 or 5 hour podcast with lots of detailed information. Yep. I think people need to know about. And since that podcast, we've taken action ourselves to enter into a new realm. We've trained pistol defense extensively.
Yeah.
I was on the boarding team, so I went through extensive training with rifle and pistol tactics, room clearing. Chris was on SWAT team. Kevin was in corrections. But I haven't trained jiu-jitsu or martial arts for a while. I did it when I was with the Marines. Super important.
Yeah.
And recently, since that podcast, we've taken action to train again as a team.
Yeah.
With the White at Black Force MMA, and hopefully we're going to get him on the podcast soon. But that dude is freaking legit.
Yeah. He's
Navy
badass.
veteran. That dude, if you need to get involved with Black Force MMA if you're in the Somerville or Charleston area, because it's not only going to help you build confidence, but it's going to help you condition your body and teach you how to use your body as a defensive tool if you need to.
Yeah.
And in today's world, you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You need to be ready. And yes, you could have a CWP, with a pistol, but that might not be the right choice.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you need to have every option available to you, and what the White's teaching down there is legit. You know what I'm saying? That dude's a badass.
Yeah.
He's hardcore, boys.
Yeah, he's the real deal.
So through the podcast, we're able to reach out and interact with these people and share some stories and share information that hopefully impacts the listener as much as it's impacting us. And the other thing, too, is don't wait for tomorrow to do what you can do today. We waited too long to get involved with Black Force MMA. But we took the step. It's time to stop putting off to tomorrow what we can do today. You know what I'm saying? So that is a challenge to you, the listener. It's the challenge that we challenge our team to every day. Take care of things that you need to take care of, right? Have your dog's best interest in mind. Have your team members' best interest in mind. Have your family's best interest in mind. Right? And do what you need to do. So, not trying to go off on a tangent. I hope that my story has impacted somebody in a good way. I never thought that I'd go from, being on the swim team, the football team, to being a dog trainer.
Yeah.
I never thought that I would not be in the Navy for 20 or 30 years and be a dog trainer.
Yeah.
I'm a dog trainer. I have a degree in civil and environmental engineering. You heard that story. I struggled.
Yeah.
I fought hard to get that degree.
Yep. In those academic buildings,
Academic
crushing
struggle.
It. Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And I've spent a lot of time at the Citadel and in the Navy not sleeping to get things done. But sleep needs to be a priority.
Yeah.
I get about 6.5 to 7 hours of sleep most days. I usually sleep 8 hours 1 or 2 days a week, and that works for me.
Yeah.
But I would say 6 to 8 hours is what most people need. If you're getting less than that, look at your routine, look at your habits. We're going to be talking about health and fitness protocols in an upcoming podcast, but sleep is so important for your body's recovery. Proper nutrition is so important for your body's recovery. So I'm not going to go off on a tangent, but I hope that what we've talked about today has impacted somebody out there. And you know what? If people say you can't do something, do it if you want to.
Yeah.
Because I had people when I was starting up this business, Canine Revolution, say dog training, not a good idea. Starting your own business, it's risky. Yes, it is risky. Yes, it is hard. It's not going to be easy. The extra mile is often lonely. There's not a lot of people that want to push themselves to the extra mile. The hard workers, I go to the gym at 4:30 in the morning. I get up at 3:30. I'm not saying you need to do that, but there's people in the gym that are there routinely with me at 4:30 in the morning. These people are freaking ready to get after it, dude.
Yeah.
There's people that show up for maybe a week and then they stop coming.
Yeah.
Because it's hard.
Yeah.
But the people that are there routinely, they're ready to freaking get after it and put in the hard work. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that everybody has to do that, but don't put off to tomorrow what you can do today. Manage your time efficiently. Get what you need to get done. If you have a goal, get after it. Why do I get up early and work out? Number one, because I think I'd go psycho if I wasn't able to lift some heavy weights.
Yeah.
You know, I just love pumping iron.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
just something I love to do.
Yeah.
But also, you know, it just gets my day going. You know what I'm saying? If I don't work out in the morning, I feel more sluggish than I do if I do. You know, but maybe someone likes working out in the afternoon. I'm not saying you got to do it the same way I do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I took my dogs on vacation recently. You know, a lot of people don't do that. That's their thing. You know, but take your dogs, walk them, do that routine. That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So whatever you want to do, go do it. Don't let something stop you. You can find a way to accomplish your goals. You can find a way to accomplish what you need to accomplish. Just be ready to put in the work. Be ready to have some discipline, you know. And like Seth says, you don't have problems. You just have more work to do. You know what I'm saying? So that's going to wrap it up. Just want to take a minute to say that Pack Talk Podcast is sponsored by Canine Revolution Dog Training. Canine Revolution Dog Training is funding everything we have to fund for the podcast, you know. But if you do want to support the podcast, one of the things that you can do is support through Canine Revolution Apparel or Canine Revolution Dog Training. So if you need some dog training, you can let us know. We train dogs from all over the country. We have dogs from Massachusetts with us right now. We had dogs from Ohio recently. We have people reaching out to us from California trying to coordinate training. So doesn't matter where you are, we will help you, right? We'll help you get what you need taken care of. We are located in Summerville, South Carolina area, but we train from all over the country. So wherever you're at, it's not a factor. You can join the revolution. We can help you achieve your goals. So that's one way you can help this podcast. The other way is by going on to our links that we're going to put in the description, and it'll take you to Amazon. You can get a Canine Revolution Apparel t-shirt. You can get a Good to Go shirt.
Good to go.
If you want to be good to go and support the podcast. We got some more shirts coming out.
Oh, yeah.
Guineas.
Get a beanie.
Beanies. It's
Oh, yeah.
beanie season. And hoodie season.
Yep. It's cold.
It's cold.
We got multiple hoodies
Multiple hoodies.
for sale.
Yes.
And you can also support. Just drop a 5-star review on the podcast.
That's
if you
right.
listen on Apple Podcasts, the 5 stars review is going to help us get into the algorithm a
It
little bit
helps
more.
us get into the algorithm. It helps us reach new people, get the message out there.
So if you've been listening for more than 2 weeks, drop a 5-star review. Why not? It's super easy.
That's right.
Drop it on Apple, drop it on Spotify or wherever you listen. And, yeah.
The other thing is, we talked about Jocko, but the thing that I like about Origin USA and Jocko Fuel is that it's made in America. And this is something that Jocko's pushing to do, is get manufacturing back into America. So their products are sourced in America and made in America. They don't have items sourced from other places. So if you want to support that, you can go to originmaine.com, Origin USA on Google, Jocko Fuel on Google. You can use the promo code SINGER101. That'll get you 10% off. But the other thing, too, is the products are just outstanding, so that's what we got right here. We got the Pink Mist, the Jocko Go. We got the Delta 68s on.
You got yours on.
I got mine on.
I got my Walmart pants on.
Not good to go. Not good to go.
No, but I am drinking my Pink Mist Jocko.
Good to go. So we're trying to support America, trying to bring manufacturing back into America. And so you guys can do that as well. Also, if you want to follow me or Ben on Instagram, Ben is at
Big Boy Jabba.
Big Boy Jabba.
Bigboy.jabba.
I'm at Chad.Singer13. Also, we should probably get into the Twitter game because Elon Musk took over.
I've been monitoring Elon's,
He
his
brought Trump
activity.
back. He brought Trump
He
back.
did. It's been kind of a fire on Twitter. Just everything is a little chaotic, but it's definitely booming. Twitter's booming.
Settle
right
out.
now.
Also, Canine Revolution on TikTok, Canine Revolution
yeah.
Dog Training on YouTube,
Mhm.
Canine Revolution Dog Training on Instagram and Facebook.
Yep,
right?
yep.
You can follow all that stuff. But again, to the listener, thank you guys. We've been blown away by the support. We've got people reaching out. If you're a dog trainer and you need some consulting, you can reach out, right? We will help you think through some things about whatever you're trying to work through.
Troubleshoot any issues you got going on.
Troubleshoot some dogs you're working on. Troubleshoot business, right? We're
Looking
doing
for
that
advice.
too.
Yeah.
Yep. So anyway, thank you guys. Hopefully you took something away from this podcast. We're looking forward to more coming out. And until next time, out.